What up? What up? I was gonna say, am I the first one at the party? That's
Yo,
lame.
yo, yo,
You're
you
never
guys,
the
what up,
first one
what
at
up,
the
what up,
party.
what up? Back in here for our weekly Stay Black series that we try and drop every Tuesday, where we just talk about issues, issues concerning Black people, and maybe just issues beyond and so forth. So again, obviously, guys will be coming in and coming out and so forth. This is very informal, very free and so forth. So I've picked a few topics from the past week that I thought would definitely be interesting for us to relate to. And just to give you a rundown of what we'll be talking about is Beyonce's Black is Beautiful. We're going to be discussing that and just discussing even the whole notion and the mindset and the concept of Black is beautiful, which I just think I don't understand that concept, and I'll go into details as to why. Cancel culture. I mean, the problems of cancel culture and why it has been rising, and the way in which people use that power for wrong, rather than trying to silence people who have actually done wrong. They take it too far, and culture has become much more poisonous and much more harmful than its original intended aim. Mixed race. I think someone said this to me before, because I think a user spoke to me and said, you said you would talk about why you feel mixed race people are particularly far more vocal with regards to Black issues than everyone else. That there's a specific psychological reason for that, and I want to get into why that is. Why mixed race people, you normally find them being extremely hardcore Black militants. And then Trump. Because I think this is maybe retreading what we actually discussed about. So we're actually already up on this. So Trump is trending. He had a pretty crazy, wild interview, but I think this thing called the Axios HBO interview, where he talks about how he has done more for Black Americans than any president since Abraham Lincoln. So I want to just talk more about that whole Trump thing and so forth. So I think first thing I want to start off with. Let's start off with this whole Beyonce thing then. So here's my thinking, and obviously I will kick it to the guys to discuss. I have Disney Plus, but I don't have Disney Plus to watch Beyonce stuff. The moment I saw Beyonce doing a Black is Beautiful film, I was like, what the hell is this? For me, it just seemed like one of the dumbest concepts of something to do, like a Black is Beautiful film. And my thing about it is, okay, why is it Beyonce now? Is Beyonce really the right person to really be doing this whole social rights movement stuff? But my main thing is mainly my issue is with the whole notion of Black is beautiful. Why are you telling me Black is beautiful? Why are you telling me that Black is king? Obviously that's the name of the film, Black is king. Why are you telling me that? Because for me, I think by you saying Black is king shows your insecurity, and it shows that you need to be constantly reminded about your self-worth. So people actually, first of all, supporting that, championing that, say Black is king, shows that wait a minute, no, that you're actually dealing with issues. Whether you want to look at the Chinese, the Hispanics, the Italians, the Jews, the South Americans, Native Americans, they don't come up with notions of like, oh no, this is Chinese is great, Jews. They don't need that because it's something that they already subconsciously know. So I think that it has made me something subconsciously for African Americans where they feel a need of validation based on low self-esteem. And I think that's in itself is something that needs to be addressed as to why are you supporting, why do you need a thing of Black is beautiful, Black is king? Because what that does is that it just panders. And again, Disney have taken advantage of this because everyone right now are just picking apart ways in which to take advantage of what the Black Lives Matter movement thing is bringing about. And this is one of those things, which is Black is beautiful, Black king, Black is beautiful. So Sam, in your view, the whole Black is king, Beyonce thing, where do you stand with that? Are you for that? Do you think it's a great thing, bad thing? Where do you stand on that?
The Black is Beautiful. I mean, I have Disney Plus. I haven't looked at it. I really have no interest in looking at it. But to be honest, I feel it's going to be something along. It's something where there's this whole theme that goes in the Black community in America, where there's a lot of low self-esteem, and a lot of the, a lot of that's from, everything historically, where it's just people feel the need to basically just figure out ways to self-esteem, and they'll do things like this. And honestly, I don't really see the point in it. But when you have some people who feel racism is affecting their very mental health, they feel that this is one of the ways to deal with that.
So, no, but on that, do you think, before we go to end with it, do you actually think this? How do you think this is helpful? How do you think, if Beyonce isn't a filmmaker, by the way, she's a very good singer. She's not a filmmaker, by the way. So how do you think a film by Beyonce about Black is King can help particular Black people deal with racial issues? And in what ways do you think it can actually help? Because I'm not sure how it can help.
I think when you think about Beyonce actually, Beyonce has quite an influence, as we all know. Mainly it's with women and women of color. She affects both women of color and just women in general. But pretty much trying to get that whole thing about getting out of the European beauty standards and stuff like that. I haven't seen any of the stuff, but then again, knowing how Beyonce dresses and all the stuff that Beyonce has on, really, to me, it kind of seems counterproductive, because she's a light-skinned Black woman who's
boom. You stole the words out of my mouth. You stole the words out of my mouth.
Well, now she's light-skinned. Now.
She was light-skinned the whole time. Have you seen her mom?
She was pretty brown. She was pretty brown at the
Even
moment.
back in the Destiny's Child days, she was still light-skinned.
She was still light-skinned back in the day. And the other thing too, if you look at her mom has green eyes. Her mom has green eyes and has pretty much the typical, 50% mixed woman's hair. But the thing about it though is that at the end of the day, yeah, she can get to light skinned women, but can she really appeal to dark skinned women? Can she? Not at all.
Okay. MB, thoughts on this?
Hadn't seen her special, so I'm not going to comment on it, but I'll say I don't know, because if you pull her up in the Destiny's Child days and then you pull up a side by side with today, she's gotten a bit lighter, but it might just be the makeup, or it might also just be the.
So I think that she lightened her skin.
No, I think they're doing to her what they always do, which is they take women of color who are the higher up you get, the lighter your skin gets post photo session in a lot of cases. And that's not her, that's the graphic designer, or that's the magazine, or that's whatever, you know what I mean? Oprah doesn't really suffer from that, but if you look at that, she's lighter than, if you look at what you just put up, she's lighter than Kelly, who is a brown skinned girl. But pull up something from recent, but I get what Sam's saying. She often has blonde hair and straight blonde hair. That's her thing. She goes curly, but is she going to be the person that people are like, but are you Black like me? That's also, I think, a sickness within our community. I think it's a sickness in our community where you need to quantify your Blackness, or qualify yourself to people to even speak on issues when you're talking to them about their Blackness themselves, self-respect issues, things like that. I think the first thing people attack is how dark your skin is, your standards of beauty, if they're closer to European, as Sam was saying, or what have you done for the community. That's the first thing people do, is try to discredit you. I think she's gonna get a lot of shit for this, but
Keep actually another thing. Keep focus on this picture that you have here. I mean, a couple of things you could just straight up notice is that she's not your typical 100% black woman. Even like for Black American standards. I mean, even if let's say she had a nose job or she didn't have a nose job. That's like a white person's nose, to be straight up. And she's got her hair is all like straightened out, and basically her skin is like literally like, I mean, she's light skinned and she's got makeup on top of that.
Okay, so because I want to comment on that, but let's bring in Corey. You got your mic working. Is that Corey? CA?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey guys.
Hey man, how you doing, man? So so just to recap, basically, Beyonce released this short film called Black is King on Disney Plus, and we're just sort of breaking down how effective could that be. My stance is that why do Black people need to be told that they are beautiful? Why do they need to be told that they are kings? And I feel that it is a self-esteem thing. So before we go into specifics with looking at who is actually giving us this message, what is your view on our whole Black is King, Black is beautiful message and Beyonce putting out the film for that?
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, so just disclosure, I plan to watch it. I've heard about it. There's buzz all over the news and everything about it. Beyonce, I heard you guys talking about Beyonce's heritage when I was coming in. Beyonce is a Creole woman. I mean, her family's from Texas, which is close to Louisiana, which is where a lot of Creole people are from. So I think Beyonce's heritage is Creole, not really European. You know what I'm saying? Like Creole is a whole different thing. So, that might explain her European type of features, but the Creole people go back to Louisiana hundreds and hundreds of years. So, but I think like she's making an effort to do what a lot of rich, Black, elite, powerful people in her position should do, which is use her position to promote a positive narrative about Black people. Not everybody's going to be Muhammad Ali, not everybody's going to be Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, something like that. She makes her money singing and dancing, but she is the most popular female artist on the planet right now, one of the richest people on the planet, and she happens to be Black. So she's doing whatever she can to push this kind of narrative. Black women in entertainment, media, popular media are not really seen as beautiful, not really seen as pretty, not really seen as anything other than So I think it's very good that she's doing that. I mean, I know you guys say, well, why should that be necessary? Because 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you barely had Black dolls in the toy store. You barely had Black superheroes on TV, just a fucking Black sidekick or something like that. You definitely did not have any Black female superheroes or Black female heroes in cinema and stuff like that. So she's doing her part, man. Maybe she goes a little overboard, with the whole Black Panther Super Bowl party thing or Super Bowl presentation thing, and the whole Black is King. Maybe might choose a better title or something. Like I said, I haven't seen it, but I applaud her for that, because if she don't do it, nobody else will. People who run Hollywood are not trying to put dark-skinned women on television. People in Latin America, China, Asia, even in Europe, are not going to put dark-skinned people on TV. Dark-skinned women on TV, especially. Dark-skinned women are not going to be the love interest. So, I mean, I'm all for that, man. I mean, I like melanated women. I like women who are dark, like the way I am. And I mean, when I see them on TV looking good, I mean, like that's got to be a good thing, right? So
here's my thing about it, and I want to just get your thoughts on this. And it's good that you actually mentioned the whole movie and film thing. For me, I think you have to look at the messenger. Now, you can't hate on someone who is trying to do something to uplift Black people, specifically African Americans, specifically African American women, specifically dark-skinned African American women, who, of course, are the people who get treated the worst based on a very dumb, stupid beauty standards of whites, blue eyes, and all that stuff.
Why not?
But my thing, though, is if it's coming from someone who looks like this, I was watching a video of Beyonce and Shakira, I couldn't tell the difference between both of them. I didn't know where Shakira started and where Beyonce began. Like, they looked exactly the same. So the thing about Beyonce is she is the typical tick in we now have a black female in our film. And I think for a lot of dark-skinned women, or even just, you know, really black women, they don't really look like Beyonce. Because if you just saw Beyonce walking out, she could really pass for Latino, mixed race, or somewhat. So when it's coming from her, how powerful can the message be? If you're a young black girl, young black dark-skinned girl, and you look at a Beyonce, how can that really be an inspiration to you? As opposed to you look at like someone like a Lupita or like a Naomi Harris, and it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, that looks like me. And that's somebody who is dark-skinned, who has succeeded. So my question to all of you guys, I'll confess to Sam, is that does the messenger matter, or the message matter more than the messenger? Sam?
I think the message both matter to a certain extent. I think with this case, for the black community, the message matters more than the messenger. And the reason why is because even though Beyonce is light-skinned and Beyonce has mixed origins, the thing is that the black community in America and the black community internationally identify her as black. I mean, and pretty much the message that will be, and even though there is the message of colorism, and there may be people who get that, but the general umbrella of black people will see her as just another variation of a black person, just a lighter skinned black person. And I think that's kind of what Corey gets to. But at the same time, the messenger does matter deep inside some people, because they'll see why is, like I said, it goes back into that thing. Somebody will be like, oh, why is this light-skinned woman like getting all the attention, and they have no attention on dark-skinned women. And you notice that with a lot of like black American women who are dark-skinned, they tend to have the lowest self-esteem of any woman in America. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much where it comes to.
Okay. MB.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think it's going to be down to the individual, because I think somebody who's into, Sam made the point that like last week, that people who are mixed race usually are the ones who are the most militant, overcompensating types.
No. We'll get there. We'll get there.
No. But hear me out.
We'll get there.
But hear me out. But the point I'm making is, it's because I feel like Beyonce is the person who, like, you can't speak for why she made it. I just feel like she's using her platform to say something. Like Corey said, if she's not going to say it, who is, right? Sam made the point that dark-skinned black women probably have the lowest self-esteem. I haven't seen the figures that back that up. I don't know if that's accurate. I'll look into it. Ray would probably know if he were here. But it's one of those situations where I feel that I feel like people should be critical of everyone. Just because she's a black woman and the country does view her as black, the world views her as black, that's cool, we've established that. But I feel like just because she's a black woman doing something that some feel positive doesn't make her above reproach. It doesn't mean that we can't question it. Everybody should be questioned. Everyone's intentions should be questioned. Nobody, just because you're doing a good thing doesn't mean that, a good thing to one group is not a good thing to another group. Just because you're doing something that some would consider a good thing doesn't mean we don't get to question you, your motives, your past, or whatever have you. So that we need to establish that first. But me personally, I think it does matter to people, for the same reason that you can tell people, no, don't do that, and they'll say, you ain't black like me, you're a sellout or whatever have you. Who are you to tell me this? You're not my dad, you're not my kin, you're not whatever have you. People get defensive when people don't look like them. That's just in general. I feel like people are going to look at her, and to Sam's point, the really dark skinned girls are going to feel some kind of way. The really light skinned girls are going to feel some kind of way. Basically, you're never going to get everyone happy. Within our own community, we talk shit about people who are darker. We talk shit about people who are lighter. There's jokes about that. You guys remember that? Oh, light skinned brothers are out of style. You remember that joke? I mean, this shit is real. Like people have been saying stuff like this since the beginning. It all plays back to, and you can't even blame colonialism for it, because we were doing it to ourselves even before that. So it's just tribalism. Dark, it stays with dark, or thinks it's beautiful. Light thinks light's beautiful. Me personally, I don't care if she has a positive message. If she has a positive message, then let's hear it. If she has a negative message, she can fuck off. That's just my position on it. We'll see. I'll watch her movie. We'll see about it. I don't care what her skin looks like. I care about the message, and I care about whether or not it's a valid one.
Okay. Corey?
Yeah, I think first of all, what happened to Kelly Rowland? I mean, you know, I mean, is anybody? People always forget about Kelly Rowland. She was a dark skinned one, but
come on.
She died in Friday the 13th.
Let's be real. Beyonce was always the most talented in our group.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. I mean,
talented.
I don't know about that, but Kelly Rowland can blow.
No. She was the best singer.
I wouldn't go that far either. She was the one that was put to the forefront because she was the lightest of them.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. That's what everybody says.
It was always Beyonce and a few other bitches. It was never Destiny's Child. Let's be real. Her mom and her dad positioned her to be the lead. She was Diana Ross. They were, you know, you guys know where I'm going with it. Yeah. So come on, let's be real. It wasn't that she was the best. She was just the lead singer.
Yeah. But to just, you know, just to carry that carry my question or the question. Beyonce once again is a Creole woman, man. She's not a European woman. She's not even a mixed race one in the way that Meghan Markle is mixed race, right? Beyonce is fucking Creole, man. That's a completely different culture.
Let me ask this, because I've heard Creole many times. Where do Creole people land ethnically, specifically?
Creole, I mean, like, I don't know. Creole's a mix of everything, man. They got, you know, Spanish, French, you know, African. You got a little bit of native blood in there. I mean, Creole's like a little mixture of everything. So that's why when somebody looks at Beyonce and say she's half European, that's not really true. She's Creole. But if I can just say, I think the message matters. Back to your original question, Have Hope. The message matters, because to me the messenger is fine. Beyonce's fine, man. Beyonce tries to put darker skinned women in her videos and performances, at least from what I see. She at least tries to put dark skinned women up on a pedestal with her. Beyonce is married to a black man. Beyonce ain't never come off as a person who didn't identify as black. Unlike, again, a Meghan Markle type, who to me doesn't really seem like a black woman. So let Hollywood hold her up as because she's a light skinned woman or whatever. But I think when Beyonce gets in the door, I believe that she's going to let darker skinned women in. Also, black doesn't just come in one phenotype, right? There's light skinned black women. But again, to me, she has no issues with her identity. There are a lot of light skinned girls out there who are a lot more conflicted about their identity, and if they were put in Beyonce's place, who would not be doing the same stuff, pro black stuff that Beyonce's doing. So I don't know, man. Like, I have no issues with Beyonce.
I'm gonna jump in,
okay. Go for it.
You need to go straight to mixed race after this, because there's a huge discussion, and I feel that, especially like the way that certain people in America see mixed race people versus other people, and I think I lean more towards the way you look at mixed race people. But let's just continue going.
Okay. Actually, okay, you know what? That's a good segue then. So let's talk about, actually, you know what? No, let me do it. I think this is actually the perfect image. Let me see. When I show this image, you will know why this is the perfect image to do this with, man. Because I think it's time for us to discuss this, and I'll give you my theory on this. We all know who this is, man. Come on.
Talcum X. That's the brother Talcum X, bro.
Do you know, it's so crazy that without fail, if there is anything to do with race, Sean King is there. Sean King is front and center with anything to do with race.
Because he hears the dinner bell, brother. Nah, for real. Real talk. He knows division cells, and he hears the dinner bell.
No, look, let me give my theory. Here's my theory with mixed race people. You see, because I remember, again, I told you, like, I don't know what I've told this story about. I'll tell the story again. Like, female colleague of mine, she's mixed race. And then I'll say to her that, okay, yeah, you're mixed race. But she says, no. I see myself as black. But I'm like, you see yourself as black. You're mixed race. Your mom is white, your dad is black. She's like, nope, you don't have the right to tell me what I am. If I say I'm black, I'm black. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to have an argument, and you don't want to have an argument with a mixed race woman. Trust me, you don't. So I was like, you know what?
You see that chick you brought on the
That's
show?
That's true.
Oh yeah. Oh no. So look, you don't trust me. You don't. Like, they are the most militant of militant. But let's just look at this whole. So this is my theory. My thing is this, because I see a pattern. When you look at Sean King, well, I don't think Angela Rye is mixed race. I've got seen Amanda Seales. You know, when you look at a lot of these women, even Google Mphotharo, the actress, when you look at a lot of these women or men or mixed race people, they are the most vociferous when it comes to race. And this is my theory. It's you grew up black. Let's just use as an example because it's the most common example, I believe. You grew up with black father, white mother. So in your mind was like, hey, I'm half and half. Every mixed race person you grew up believing that, hey, I'm half black, I'm half white. Then the world tells you, no, you're black. You move around and everything, thinking you're half black, half white. You're a nigger. Yo, nigger. Yo, baboon, this. And you're like, whoa. And that fucks with your brain. Because you're like, so I'm getting treated the same as these my black friends, the same as these other black people. So you now go and you will say to your white man that way, I'm confused. I thought I'm half and half. And your white mom now has to tell you that difficult revelation that I get it. Fuck biology, fuck the technicalities. You're black. It may not make sense biologically, technically, but for the real world, it is what it is. And from that conversation, you become militant because you now feel there is, you have a chip on your shoulder because this certain thing has been forced upon you, and you wear that chip on your shoulder like a badge of, you know what? That's it. So you white guys, you're going to now tell me I am black, and you're going to sort of like totally dismiss my white mother. I'm going to be blacker than black. I'm going to triple down. I'm going to quadruple down. So what mixed race people have, it's a particular mental psyche. And this is my reality. Mixed race people are dealing constantly every day with mental gymnastics. You can say you're black all you want. You've got a white mother. You've got a white father. That's a fact. And because of that fact, your mind is fucked. Even if you don't want to believe it, it is. Because how can you say that? I'm black. Black is, this is for black people. But 50% of the reason why you're here is a white person. So you can't ignore that. You see, the beauty about science is that science is. I told you, like, I did history and philosophy of science and science communication as my bachelor's degree. And the thing about science is science builds itself and prides itself on objectivity. Stuff like, English and philosophy and so forth, they're much more about subjectivity and how you use the words, but science is about We are all about being objective. That's it. We are all about being objective. Objectivity. 100%. So it's for big straight people, that's their tough path that they have to go through, is that deep down they know they're mixed race, but they're living a path of a black person, but still knowing that they're mixed race. Which is why any mixed race person that you meet, you try to talk to, they are blacker than you. They are blacker than you. You know? So that is where I believe that their thing comes from, is it's a chip on their shoulder, and it is suppressed anger of that conversation they had to have with their white. It starts from that conversation they have with their white parents. Before that conversation, they believe that they're mixed race. Then they're confused. But from that conversation with their white parents, where the white parents has to, and just imagine how difficult that must be for their white parents. So you're sort of taking away the racial code you've given to this child. You've stripped them away from that and said, nah, you're black. Fuck me. Ignore me. I mean nothing. You're black. That's insane. That is insane. So, Sam, thoughts on this then?
So,
Sam.
one thing I want to cover about this too is also, I'm going to talk about split up in three things. Social, you got your social norms, you got biology, and then you got basically, I mean, how the world sees you, how science sees you, and basically objectivity. So first of all, science. I think the first thing you got to do is look at science, because people will say someone like Meghan Markle is black. Meghan Markle is not black.
Nope.
Beyonce, I know a lot of people are saying she's black. Beyonce is not black. Beyonce is mixed. Beyonce has a lot of DNA going through her body. She is mixed. I mean, it is what it is. But like,
a lot of the Beehive would probably try to castrate you if you said that. But
exactly. A lot of them would say that, and that's. But then again, science says, which I feel politically and socially, a lot of people avoid the actual concept of science, but the science is that they are not. Another thing too is that also historically, what's changed as well though is what defines a black person, a mixed person, and a white person. Because we were talking about last time what identified a white person. At one point, it was like literally Anglo-Saxon it to include people from Northern Europe. Then that shifted all the way to Italians and Southern Europeans and stuff like that. But then again, it's the same thing with mixed people. So back in the day, somebody who was only like an eighth black, which is like literally barely anything, was considered black because of the one drop rule. You'd be very hard pressed to find someone who has that little black DNA in them to basically would be considered a black person. I mean, there's examples of them out there. Like, look up Rebecca Hall and post her picture up here, and I'll show you an example of a person who's
wait, is that the actor or
actress Rebecca Hall?
The heck? Yeah, I know her. Wait.
Yeah, post her picture up here for everybody to see. Technically, she's about a quarter black.
Is she?
Does that look like a black woman to you?
What?
Does that look like a black woman to you? I'm asking everybody here. Does that look like a black woman to you?
No. I know her, but I told you, like, I'm like a movie merchant, so like I've seen a lot of films that she's in, and not for a millisecond did I think that she was anything but fully Caucasian.
Yeah, if you show a picture of her mom's like is everything under the sun. Like she has white, black, Native American, like all of that. Her dad's just a straight up white British dude. Yeah. But like that's the thing. I mean, like the world is getting so mixed that you really can't the identities are shifting. I mean, even like with Meghan Markle, I mean, apart from her kinky hair, really doesn't look like a black, and her like slightly pale, I mean tan skin doesn't look like a black woman. Neither does Rashida Jones either.
Yeah, but if that's what you say, but did you read all of the hate that the
yeah, of course.
British, like, because to them, she's a black woman, and they horrible things. They just like they throw bananas at black footballers in the UK, so did they with Meghan, and say even worse things. Asking if they're going to, they pulled the tiger. Are they going to serve fried chicken at the palace now? Like dumb shit like that.
Yeah, of course. And that's where I segue into the second part, which is a social aspect. I mean, in a lot of circles, I mean, especially with the circle of Meghan Markle, like there's going to be all this stuff like with racial purity and like white supremacists and white nationalists will have more scrutiny over someone like Meghan Markle going to the royal family, because that's supposed to be like the biggest element of whiteness in society, in British society. But when you're talking about somebody walking down the street, I mean, it's going to be a matter of like, what does she look like? Does she look white? Does she look black? Does she look a little off? A lot of cases, there's a lot of people that pass off as white and black. That's a mixed woman right there.
Yeah. I'm under seals.
Yeah, but pretty much but that's the thing. Society's colliding with science, and because more and more mixed people are showing up in the world, the definition of who's black and who's mixed is changing. The other thing too is also that while some white people are pulling away from that whole like what defines a black person and a mixed person, more black people are grasping onto mixed people as to join them. So you'll see more people so you'll see a lot of like black, like mixed people who grow up in the US. They'll tend to basically fall more into their black side than their white side because of societal norms. And like pretty much you'll see all this crap. Like, I mean, I saw it in school with like some of the mixed kids we had there, where they were basically getting bullied because they weren't doing shit with the black people, or they weren't representing or whatnot. And it's kind of bullshit, to be honest.
Okay. MB, thoughts on this?
Well, I think we make too much about who has what in them, and honestly, I'm sick as hell about it. But you're a child of two worlds, and you belong to neither 100%. So, if you look black, then you're treated black. My adopted father is a white man, and I get people act different when they see him. People act different when they see me. When they see me.
Wait. Difference how?
So I was having a discussion. I think Sam might have seen it. I was having a discussion on one of our mutual friends' page about, Black Lives Matter, whatever have you. And the dude his buddy immediately pounced on me because he was trying to basically say I hate white people. And then when I pointed out, no, I don't hate white people. I'm just saying X, Y, and Z. And I guess you're saying I hate my dad. And I said, hey, Dad, this guy says I hate you. And he's like, well, how can you speak on black issues? I mean, you're 50% white. And I'm like, I didn't say I was 50% white. I just, I said my dad is a white man. And that's because that's the man that, he took care of me when my birth father died. and people flip the fuck out. Like when people in general, when they like to group people, they like to put them in boxes. You are safe and you are not a threat when you fit into this box or that box. When you speak and you speak outside of your box, people get pissy because they had you categorized as safe, or they had you just the way we group people. Like I have a certain group of people I talk to when I want to talk about intellectual things. I have a certain group of people I want to talk to about, racial bias or whatever have you. And it's not because they're going to agree with me. It's just because I'm going to have a stimulating conversation with them versus somebody who just doesn't give a shit about the topic. But when people like to know, oh, I can talk to, example, Sam. He's my black friend from, the BX, or HH. He's my African friend. You know what I mean? Like when people can do that, they feel safe. When people come to me, they're like, holy shit, he's a black dude who is, I don't know if he's conservative. I don't know if he's a liberal. His dad's white. Holy shit, man. How do I even attack? Because people nowadays, they don't look at it. They don't look to have a conversation. They look for their turn to talk, especially when it comes to matters of race, because everyone's a friggin' expert about that. I don't like the fact that when a black person or a white person brings up an idea, we have to first talk about whether or not they're qualified to have their own thought based on their skin or based on their experience. The reason why I give dudes like Sean King so much shit is because I personally feel like in Sean King's case, he's not a mixed race dude trying to overcompensate because he is light skinned. He's a predator. He hunts for low self-esteem black people, and he pumps the narrative that you're a victim. And when they get fat on that, he exploits it and he gets paid off of it. That's why anytime something happens, it doesn't matter if the brother or sister was in the wrong. He's the first motherfucker to talk.
Which is very problematic. Very problematic. Yeah.
Here's the thing, anybody who can make a living off of outrage is somebody you need to be suspect of. That's why, like when,
that's very true.
Reverend Al, he had some good points, but let's be real. Sam remembers this shit because he's from the city like I am. I remember Reverend Al when he was Brother Al, rocking a tracksuit and gold chains in the 80s, walking on marches, trying to make the people think he was like down like them. Meanwhile, he's having dinner with the bigwigs who are, he's having dinner with the other side. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro.
Like Donald Trump.
But he's talking shit about Trump. Bro, you used to have dinner with the man and talk about what would be a good idea for him to move into a neighborhood to market to black people. And then he tries to spin it saying, oh, I'm trying to get jobs and this will be black inclusion. And motherfucker, please, you're trying to line your pockets. Just like brother Talcum X here. And that's my problem. That's why they call him Talcum X. Because we know you talk like Malcolm, but you ain't Malcolm.
It's the same, but at the same time, you see that same shit all over the place. That's the reason why, like, I'm gonna be straight up. The white community loves guys like fucking Tucker Carlson. That guy is a fucking psycho and a white supremacist. You can go to hell.
I remember when people used to get on Tucker because they were like, "What grown man wears a fucking bow tie?" And that was his shtick. He was trying to get noticed by being weird, and no one took him that seriously. And then he started his little blog, and he got his quote unquote base support by peddling fucked up shit. And he talks about how Obama divided the country racially. Bro, you were feeding the people who were like anti-Obama for no other reason aside from his skin color for years. Anti-woman of color. That's what I'm saying. Anybody who makes money off of conflict is a parasite. Sean King is a parasite. Reverend Al, in many ways, is a parasite.
Okay.
There's a lot.
Wait. Let me bring in Corey because he's not spoken yet. So Corey.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna go back to what you were saying about the mixed race thing. I mean, I think a mixed race person choosing their own cultural identity as black or white or something like that is something that I notice only in certain countries, but not others. You know what I'm saying? In Brazil, but like Brazil for the longest time, didn't have such static, like at least not like in the United States or South Africa and things like that. But I've seen both kinds of mixed race people, right? Again, Meghan Markle. I don't want to say she doesn't identify as black, but she doesn't strike me as a person who has a bunch of dark-skinned friends she hangs out with. Let's just say that, you know what I'm saying? Then again, a woman like Logan Browning, who is very European looking, but leans heavily towards the black culture. Something tells me she smells like Blue Magic hair grease and cocoa butter lotion. I just don't know why. I just look at her.
Wait. What's her name? Logan who?
Logan Browning. You saw her on the TV show Dear White People.
Oh.
Yeah. She leads, at least her character does, and I think in real life she does too. I've seen her on interviews. But two different type of mixed people. Her and Meghan Markle, two different types of mixed people. I bet European settlers were frustrated because when they left Europe, every place they landed had dark people with melanin. So, I mean, I'm assuming, I think that these colonial whites pretty much had to come up with a system in place because they were, and probably still are, outnumbered on the planet. So this whole black and white thing is a made up thing, dog. I mean, but in colonial countries, this shit matters. This shit matters in colonialized countries. So, so much so that the mixed race people pretty much have to choose an identity. I got a question. Does England have this thing called passing? Because in the States they had, you can pass for white. Logan Browning back in the day could possibly pass for white. Back in the day, you had US, you had 1/8 or 1/4, 1/4 or whatever black people. People who today will be probably considered white. I don't know if they have that in England or not.
It's funny that you asked that, and I think this actually goes to my next question about the one drop rule. In England, I think there is far more acceptance of people who are mixed race as opposed to them being black. It's similar of where, again, whether you want to bring in an Ashley Cole, Rio Ferdinand, like, football players who are seen as black and they go with the black camp. But I do think that there's far greater awareness of their mixed heritage, especially in these recent days, as opposed to America, where it's very strict, white's black. But I don't, because remember, see, English people are very aware, and there is no such thing as you passing for white. So, which is why I want to get to this dumbass thing known as the one drop rule.
Can I just say before you get that, I just wanted to finish one point. Hollywood, black people in Hollywood, there were a lot of black people in Hollywood that were passing as white. Clark Gable, Carol Channing, to name a few. These people had careers. These people married white people. Nobody knew these people were black until they had babies and their babies came out with kinky hair, or their grandmother said, "Hey, by the way, I think you should know that your dad was a black man." Hollywood is full of people back in the day who were mixed race but didn't let it be known. The black elite, the U.S. black elite back in the day were all mulatto mixed race people. Booker T. Washington was the first black elite person of any kind of color, and he called them out on that. But this shit goes very deep in the United States. That's all I want to say. It goes very deep.
Okay, so I want to move this over to actually, let me just hit the super chat from Evan Miranda. Thank you for the super chat. I think the super chat said most black senators in U.S. history are mixed.
That actually ties into what Corey was saying. I mean, people like W.B. Du Bois, like Thurgood Marshall, like a ton of black elites back in the day were like heavily mixed.
Okay. So I want to. This is what I want to take it to. One drop rule. Now, for me, the one drop rule has to be one of the dumbest, most racist things I can think of. Pause for a minute and just think about what the one drop rule is. So you're saying that you are so protective of your whiteness. Your whiteness is so pure that even if you have an inkling of anything that isn't white, you are 100% that thing. So wait, let me get this straight. So you're telling me that if I am the child of a fully white man and a woman who is 3/4 white and maybe, or say half white and half black, and I come out with like what's a quarter black or something, I'm not white? That's insane. And I think that because again, the one drop rule is the very reason why mixed race people and so forth pretty much want to see, pretty much say, look, I'm black. But that has been forced upon you. You haven't said you're black or lived a black life by choice. You've done it because racist white people, or the racist white system has said, if you have anything in you that isn't white, you're therefore that thing. That is the most racist, messed up thing before. And see, for me personally, whenever white people refer to like Obama, the first black president, or they refer to mixed race people as a black, or they refer to like Halle Berry, Ogogo, and Butler, that, this is a really great black person, I feel insulted. I feel personally insulted. It's like, the cheek. You know that person you're referring to is mixed race. But because they're not fully white, that they're only half white, you can't bring it upon yourself to call them half white. You've got to call them, you're not fully black. That's messed up, because this is something that my brother even said to me, that I want to give it to Sam, that the existence of mixed race people shows the absurdity and the stupidity of racism. Because racism prided itself on, I'm white, I'm black. We are only with black people. We are only with white people. I only marry white. I only marry black. I only marry brown. Boom, boom, boom. But then when it's like, so what happens when this black person comes to this black group, white person from this white group, they then get married and then have a child. Now that child is now 50% white, 50% black. If you accept that, then realize that, this whole thing is fucked then. But because you need that system to be intact, and you need that racist system to be intact, like, that's it. Any one drop thing, you have to be black. Because the system prides itself on white is great, white is pure, white is the best. Anything not fully white is black or not, or none other. But really, if you accepted the existence of mixed race people, it will show the stupidity of racism and how that can bring racism down. Sam, thoughts on that?
So, the history of the one drop rule was originally from slavery. And this is one of the big ones that's tied to slavery, because when white slave masters were raping black women in the plantations, they would come out with these mixed kids, and like at some point, because they shared DNA with like the slave master, they would have because of that, they would be able to stake inheritance in that slave master's plantation. But the one drop rule was legislated in law to prevent that from happening. I don't know the exact laws or rules that did that, but that was the point. And it was carried, and after slavery, it was pretty much carried on to do exactly that, to basically keep people down and to do that. Even though that whole thing about somebody sharing the same genes as somebody being legislated out, it was still a way to basically to discriminate against people who weren't fully black, who weren't fully white, in order to do that. So with the times, a lot of that has shifted. Pretty much from what I see, like, people get treated differently depending on how how much black DNA they have in them, or whatnot, or how much, or how mixed they are. Because when you see when you see people who are mixed like white and Asian, they don't get half as much shit as people who are mixed white and black. It's and when you see people who are like that example that you talked about, and the one that I showed, Rebecca Hall, they wouldn't have as much trouble as someone who's like half and half. Because Rebecca Hall, I mean, she could walk around, say, "Hey, I'm a white girl," not worry about shit, and nobody.
I know. I thought she was white. I thought she was white. I'm shocked.
And even Sean King to an extent, like people would like, because I know a couple mixed people that are kind of like the same amount of mixed as Sean King, and people like that, they basically will go around and like maybe get a couple questions on like, where you're from. Are you Middle Eastern? Are you Hispanic? Are you something like that? And that would be about it. I mean, they wouldn't make any black jokes about him because he doesn't look black. I mean, he barely does. But yeah, because I had a guy I worked with, and pretty much that's the thing. He would just get a bunch of questions. A bunch of people just ask him a bunch of questions like, where are you from? Like, are you from like this country? They think he's from like South America or something.
All right. Corey.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna say that they did a 23andMe documentary a while back where a lot of white Americans found out they had as much as 20% African blood in them, and they were shocked. Ooh. They were shocked by that. You know, they were just like, "Well, I don't understand. I'm white. I mean, you know." But so the one drop rule was put in place to prevent people from passing. Basically, that's what it was for. Before slavery really took hold, the U.S. was kind of a different place. People mixed and had babies. Their babies had babies, and in a lot of cases, the blackness was invisible, right? Like you couldn't really tell. So the one drop rule was kind of put in place for that. It was a way to enforce this racist caste system that the U.S. was developing. When white supremacy took over, this racist caste system took over to hold the U.S. Same thing in Latin America. And race really started to matter for us in the country and everything. So yeah, man. I mean, like I think we're getting to a point where that kind of doesn't matter anymore. It's starting to not matter. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's going to take hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, or decades to get generations to get rid of this caste system that was in place for so fucking long that you can't just like get rid of it so easily. So, but I don't know, man. That I don't really. I said a lot what I think about mixed race on the last subject.
So Dore, Danny, well, we're coming to you, trust me, because you're gonna talk on this, man. So, MB, thoughts on this whole one drop rule scenario, and just your thoughts on, because again, actually, I think it's stupid, and I think it is the crux of the issue and the problem. But what's your thoughts on the one drop rule?
Let's play a game. So think of every successful black person that you know of. Like I'm talking like at the apex of the game, of their game, right? So you got Obama, right? He's half white. Someone mentioned Lewis Hamilton. That's a good one too. Bubba from Bubba Wallace. He's not even at the top of his game, but he gets attention because there have been other black drivers. They give him any attention. You think of any black person who makes it big. You keep mentioning Halle Berry. It's
Beyonce.
Well, bro, but you got to think about it, right? Like, and you said Rebecca Hall. I looked up her mom. Her mom looks like her mom could be mixed, like 2 generations deep mixed.
Well, no. Her mom, I think she's like part of Dutch, part something. But her mom
but her mom isn't like. It's not like she's like. You're making.
Drake.
I thought,
Drake.
Yeah, Drake. I'm thinking the biggest of us are always the mixed mixed black or mixed,
more
you know.
come clutch. Denzel, Jordan, Oprah, LeBron, not mixed.
Okay, and let's try to find one of those people who did not have the media try to destroy them, or did not have black people try to take them down. Because I remember when Oprah got shit from the black community for being a sellout because she didn't want to build schools in Chicago. I remember
Obama gets shit now from the black community. So like,
Obama
what's the argument?
What do you mean? Wait, what?
I'm asking you, what's your argument? Like, just get to the point. Like,
what happened?
no, I don't understand where this is going. It's almost like, okay,
yeah,
so
I'm having a hard time understanding too.
No. Okay, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, get points. Get a point. Go for it.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Floor is yours.
Oh, I thought it was mine before too, but then I got whining. All right, so basically, my point is like to what you said about what the one drop rule, right? If you're going to be the top at your game and have the media like fawning over you, you typically have those that they put in front of us are typically not what some folks here would consider 100% pure. I don't think anybody is these days.
oh my God.
So you don't think anybody's 100% pure black?
No, I'm saying not at all, and not in America anyway. Everybody has, to the point Sam was making. I know for a fact, right? I know for a fact that 2 generations back, or actually 2 generations back from even my grandma, I have white ancestry because of rape, because of the family that owned my family, and going back to my grandma could quote unquote pass the brown bag test, right? And
I think
no. But MB though, that may be true. But let's just look at what is as in presence. If you look at Michael Jordan and you look at Drake, there is a distinct difference. If you look at Oprah and look at Halle Berry, there's a distinct difference. If you look at Jim Brown and you look at Bubba Wallace, there's a distinct difference. So maybe way back, Jim Brown got mixed with something, but when you just look at them, Jim Brown looks like he could have come out of flipping like Obalende or somewhere like in Nigeria or somewhere like that, as opposed to a Bubba Wallace
he's darker.
Looks mixed.
That's just because he's darker. You're saying that, and we've been conditioned that dark is scary.
Features, not just skin tone. Features, nose, mouth, bone structure. Those are all things that all come in the package with the skin, not just its skin tone, nose, mouth, and specific physical features, which are more African as opposed to a Bubba Wallace, whose nose, mouth, and so forth, with his skin tone all together, make him more likely to be mixed race. So,
I think really the thing that MB is trying to get at is that, just be straight up, that a lot of the celebrities at the pinnacle are people that they tend to go more towards people that are light skinned.
Ding.
Oh no, for sure.
People are jumping around the fucking topic, but like, yeah, that's the whole point. Because look at most of the people who are put as forefronted celebrities, they tend to be light skinned.
And also and who are the actresses? Even the whole thing with actresses. Again, it's similar to what I said in last stream. The actors, what is the myth of the sexy man, tall, dark, and handsome? That's the fancy for the white woman who they'd like to fuck. A lot of white women are producers and so forth. They want their fancy, tall, dark, handsome dude. So, but then for the woman, it's light skin, because the things are, wow, we now have best of both worlds. We have somebody who's a little bit tan, a bit exotic, a bit of color in them, but they still have the European Caucasian features within them. So I want to bring in Daniel to this thing. So Danny, you got your mic working there, bro.
Can you hear me clear?
Yep, can hear you clear.
All right.
So let me rewind it back, because again, Danny, as well know, is mixed race. So obviously, I don't think he's as light as Sean King though. But
no.
This was my theory about why most mixed race people are extremely militant when it comes to black issues. A lot of them are.
They
So
are.
my theory is this, and then just tell me what do you think about this issue. Because I said that it's a chip on the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
You grow up believing you're mixed race. You grow up believing that I'm half black, I'm half white. So I see my black mother, I see my black father, I see my white mother. Hey, I'm mixed race. You go out, you get called a nigger, you get called a what was it called? You get called a monkey, baboon, all this kind of stuff, a negro, blah blah blah, and you're confused, like whoa, what am I thought? Why am I getting treated like these my black friends, like this my black people? But I thought I'm mixed race. Then you have the conversation. Then you have that conversation with your white mother, your white father, and after that conversation, you develop a chip on your shoulder. You develop this thing of, you know what, I'm going to study blackness. I'm going to hone down and zero in and second on blackness. And it is like a countermeasure and a aggressive reaction to the one drop rule and the racist society forcing this thing of blackness upon you when you've grown up thinking or believing you were 50-50. So they have a far greater fire in their belly because of that conversation. That once that conversation is hard, when the white mother tells them that, fuck me, screw my race, forget that, you're fully black. And everybody else, I'm fully black. My race doesn't really matter towards you. Even if I'm 50% the reason why you're here, my race doesn't matter. And that's, like, this is why it's so good that you're here. I believe either consciously or subconsciously, mixed race people are fighting themselves internally. Because as much as they say, I'm black, I'm black, I'm black, I'm black, I'm black, deep down, they know scientifically, biologically, you're half and half.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole thing messes with your mind. So that you say what as someone who is mixed race?
I would say that it goes either way. Like you might find somebody like, I don't know, like who's a militant mixed race person that you know that's like in the mainstream.
Wait, man or woman?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, Amanda Seals.
Okay, so you have
Colin Kaepernick.
Okay, yeah, okay, fine.
Colin Kaepernick. Okay.
Okay, so you have a Colin Kaepernick and Amanda Seals, but for every one of those, you have like what's the Sage Steele, like a
Meghan Markle.
Yeah, it's who's just like you know, I'm a snowflake mix. I'm special. This kind of that. Like, how come we can't all be together? So I think it goes. It can go both ways. Put it that way. I think maybe the reason you find militant mixed race black people is because it's like it's a consciousness, and I think black people like. I heard someone use the word pure black before. I don't like when we get into terms of like pure this, pure that, because that ventures into a eugenics territory,
and area
where the only reason things were meant to be seen as pure and this is in a white context. So we can talk about eugenics maybe a little bit later. People in the Googles can look up Francis Galton in the meantime. But yeah, that idea that once you're made conscious, it's I don't know, it's like a Matrix moment, red pill, blue pill. And I think everybody who's black gets that. It's like, okay, now that you're made aware of what this society is, are you going to stay asleep or are you going to be awake? And I guess because if you're mixed race, you're always, as you say, I don't know if it's like a crisis necessarily. I guess it could be. Yeah, it depends on who you are, but you're always kind of made aware of race ever since you're a kid, because you're like, well, my mom and my dad don't look the same, so what am I? So that question always exists. If you're black, the question doesn't necessarily, if both of your parents are black, the question doesn't necessarily exist. You understand what it is and you move on. If both of your parents are white or Asian or Latino, like, you know, the question isn't there. So, you know, maybe from 5, 6, 7, you don't have to deal with the question of race. For me, I'm growing up, I'm like, okay, so my dad's African, my mom's Canadian, like, so European. So like, what am I? And then once you kind of evolve and you understand these things, then yeah, you can lean down the conscious route, especially once you understand what society is. So for me, I kind of see it of like, there's black people, then there's mixed race black people, then there's mixed race white people, then there's white people. So the guy on screen right now, whose face is quite uncomfortable, is a mixed race white man. He has 3 white grandparents and 1 black grandparent.
According to who?
Well, just according to the data, like he
No,
has one.
his-
He has 3 white grandparents and 1 black grandparent, which
Nah.
makes him which makes him, for me, a mixed race white man. The same way that Steph Curry is a mixed race black man. He has 3 black grandparents, 1 white grandparent. Same way Malcolm X is a mixed race black man. He had 1 white grandparent, 3 black grandparents. So
No, you're right. You're right about that. Except, I'm just making the point that all 4 of Sean King's biological grandparents were white.
is it
Yep.
interesting? So like, where does
His mom,
come from?
his whole it
Alleged
doesn't
black
exist. Well, so apparently his mom is saying, yeah, so your dad who raised you, he's on the birth certificate, but I was fucking a light-skinned black dude. That's your real father. That's what so he grew up thinking that his real dad was off somewhere and he didn't know who he was, and the man raising him wasn't really his dad, even though he raised him as his son and took care of him as his son and was his father. So then that was what HH was saying earlier, bro, is that, folks who, like, he's overcompensating. He's always been overcompensating. But folks in the know are like, and even his own family members have been like, nah, he's
playing
white.
game.
Yeah, it's a hustle. It's a hustle. But you have a valid point on everything else, though, bro. Like, everything else was good. But that's the only thing. Like, that's why
that's just education for me, because I always just assumed that like one of his grandparents was black.
Nah, bro. He has features that you would think. You look at the rest of his family, and you're like, that brother cuts his hair in such a way as to keep it fuzzy so it looks a little nappy.
Fair enough.
He gets anyway, up to the hood. But like, I'm sorry. Go back to your point. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but like mine is like getting into genetics, because again, that ventures into a eugenics territory I don't really like, because that's more whiteness trying to maintain whiteness rather than blackness trying to maintain blackness. Race is ultimately about what you look like. It's not a genetic argument. It's a phenotype argument. It's what do you look like? So if you look at, all the famous mixed race people that you named, Obama, Drake, Halle Berry, etc., they all look black. There's no question about like, are they or aren't they? So they are then classed. Say again.
What I'm saying is that's what we're telling ourselves, because that's what we're programmed to tell ourselves.
No. We
bullshit.
No, people tell themselves that because whiteness is an insidious institution, and you are not protected from whiteness if you claim mixed raceness. That's not full of shit. Oh, that's full of shit, rather. It's the idea that, you can tell white people all the time you're mixed race, but what they'll call you is, you're just a half-breeded nigger, this, that. So whiteness is an insidious institution that only accepts the pure white, which is why this idea of pure blackness and other stuff is its own different thing, because whiteness, the idea of whiteness is to maintain it. So anything that comes inside of it can't be us. Therefore, if you look, put it like this, if you look white, you can stay in whiteness. That's what passing is. That's why a Wentworth Miller or a Jennifer Beals, etc., can pass, because race isn't about what you are genetically. It's about what you look like. It's your phenotype. That's all it ever has been.
The whole race is a social construct, basically.
Exactly. It's all about what we see. So Halle Berry looks black. She's gonna get NAACP Image Awards because she's black. Obama looks black. He's the first black president. So because of all intent and purpose, that's
he is. Let's get some other guys. So everyone sort of has their goals. So I'm gonna go to Jay. Is a mic working at Jay?
Yeah, so I came in a little bit later. What was the question?
Okay, so let me just read. So basically, what they're saying is, what is your view pertaining to mixed race people who I feel are the most militant when it comes to black issues because of the effects that they've had of the one drop rule, i.e., if you're anything other than 100% white, you are now viewed as black. You now sort of ignore your white parents. You now go on this crusade of black, 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 black. And it's almost as a chip on your shoulder that you have. So your views on the one drop rule and now whole consciousness of mixed race people.
Crazy question. So I had two friends that were mixed race, and I would say they were probably the most pro-blackest than any of my black friends that had two black parents. That was due to I asked them questions like why you have this such proud being black, but they told me stories how they went over their white side of the family house, how they was treated, so they were viewed as being black. I think that's one. I can't speak for every mixed race, but I just think the tragic situation that happened in their life would made them claim to be black and attached to more of the black side of their I would say genotype, and they actually both married black women. About the one drop rule, I think that's something that's constructed in America to keep whiteness, right? To make sure that if you mix with these people, you're not going to be on our side. But it's kind of strange though. So I don't know if I told you that's like majority of my family was born in Cuba, and if you're mixed, it's not look like the same way here. You're just mixed race. They don't have these conversations about, well, you half black, you half white, you have to mix. That's something very, very in depth in American culture about being light, being dark. Because I have mixed people in my family that are considered the term mulata. This means a mixed race, but it's not as viewed as the same as here. You're just considered mixed race, and it's very, very different how Americans see it. It's because everything is so color and how you look and how you have to act black or speak black. You sound like a white. Everything is constructed of two colors, right? And I think the other guy said, or if someone's Latino, first of all, Latino is not even a race. First of all, it's you could be native descendant, European descendant, or black. And a lot of times, some Latinos that are from Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, try to shy away from being black, which is stupid as shit. But I don't do that. I consider myself black. But and I do have mixed race people in my family, but it's just not so much of a big deal in other countries. This is something I don't know about in Europe, but in the US, it's very, very harped on about what side you're going to choose. It's like almost like you got to pick this side. And every time I visit my folks back in my aunts back there in Cuba, it wasn't a big deal if somebody white came over, somebody was mixed, or I didn't know your mom was white. Like no one says shit like that, man. I think this is why we have all these issues in the U.S. with this one drop rule. Everything has to do with color, race. I mean, everything. It's even way how we display news. Or a black man robbed the store, a white man. Even it's just everything is all tied together with how people view each other. So that's pretty much what I have to say about that.
Yo, Double H. What other side is there to choose in America? So like I think Jay's right, where it's like if you look at some place like South Africa, there's black, there's white, and then there's this thing called colored, which you have your own category in a place like South Africa. In America, there's only two if we're just looking at the black and white dynamic. So if you're mixed race and white people don't accept you as white, then there is no choice necessarily, unless unless you just want to be a cool, just be like, I
still think it's an issue. I still think it's an issue, and I still don't think it makes no logical sense to me. It makes no logical sense to me. But wait, so let me bring it in. So your boy Jody, so Mike walking at Jody.
Yo, I'm here.
All right, cool, Jody. So yeah, Jody, man, from Jody's corner, nice to have you on here, because obviously we are going to get to the cancel culture thing afterwards. But so specifically for this whole thing. So I know that you are mixed race. So what is your so first of all, first question is that what is your ethnic mix? And do you feel that there is this thing with mixed race people who feel that they have to sort of double and triple down to be extra black, especially people who are half black, half white, based off the reactions that they've had of the one drop rule, and feeling that they need to sort of almost overcompensate of being Afrocentric and ultra black based on the whole one drop rule thing that they've had to live through?
All right, so I have a really extensive opinion on it that's probably not as extensive as you guys think it would be. First, I need clarification. What is the one drop rule?
So basically, the one drop rule was where white people would basically say, if there is any aspect of you
Got you.
that isn't white, you are therefore black. So even if you're half white, half black, even if you're 3/4 white or 1/4 black,
You're black.
white people say, you're not 100% black, boom. No, so you're not 100% white, boom, you're just black.
Yeah, got it. And I believe it too, the way society treats us. And by the way, so look, I'm half Hispanic and I'm half black. My mom is Hispanic, my dad is black. And there was 4 of us raised in Los Angeles, South LA, South Central Los Angeles. And I identify more almost totally with my black side. As a kid, going to my mom's house, my mom's house, so my grandmother's house, my mom's mom was a I loved my grandma. It was all Hispanics over there. And my grandma had 4 daughters, and my mom married a black man, had kids with a black man, and we were the only mixed race kids. Whenever we would go over there with the Hispanic side of our family, a toy would come up missing, something broke, and it would always be put the blame on us. And even as an 8-9-year-old boy, we got tired. We noticed it. We were mistreated when we went over there. It was always, we stole the toy. Oh, Joe, he stole the toy. It's missing. Where's the wrestler? I remember it was a wrestler. It was a Randy Savage wrestling action figure. I played with it. I stopped playing with it. I went home. My mom gets a phone call from my grandma. Did he steal the wrestler? Where is it for Eddie? It's not here. Everybody's saying he took it. My mom grilling me. Did you take the? No, Ma, I didn't take the wrestler. Did you take? No, Ma, I didn't take the wrestler. 3 days later, they find the wrestler. Did they call to apologize to me? Of course not. They call my mom? No, of course not. Same thing happened with a freaking bat. Playing baseball. Bat come up missing. They grilled my older brother about the bat because he was playing with the bat. Said he took it. A week later, it's right there. Did they apologize? No. There's just a couple of instances of how it was. They treated us like black people. And what do I mean by treat you like black? They treat us like niggas. My grandma was blatantly racist. She used to say chink, gook, nigger. She called my dad nigger multiple times. My mom would have to check her. And that's why we didn't really go over there a lot. You know, why'd you have to marry that nigger? That's what my mama told me as I got older. But as a kid, my experience with knowing that there was something wrong with my grandma, I was 8, 9, I was about 9 or 10, and I'm watching music videos on cable. I was watching I can't remember what music video it was though. It was like an R&B video or something. And my grandma calls me into the kitchen. Josa. I'm like, yeah, grandma. And she had this weird, she was like, why do you watch those videos? Why do you like that? I was like, she said, why do you watch the black ones? And I didn't know how to answer. I'm like, I don't know, grandma, I just like it. That didn't do anything to me psychologically. I got older and flashbacks started to hit, and I was like, my motherfucking grandma's a racist. Ain't that some shit? Then I come to my mom, Mama, is grandma a racist? And then she had that look. And instantly I knew. I said, for sure, everything that's kind of like scattered throughout my memory is leading up to my freaking grandma's a freaking racist. She was like, I remember the first time I heard gook, I was a kid. And I used to repeat it. The gook's next door. Gook, grandma, gook. What is that? Just repeat the chinks, nigger. She even would call Mexicans wetbacks. And I'm like, wait a minute. So she was just a bigot of a woman. I loved her, but she was just like that. And I know that when we went over there, we wasn't treated fairly. We wasn't treated like the other, like our Hispanic side. We were always looked at as the outcasts. So we stopped going over there. By the time we got of age where we were like a little bit more conscious of like, man, they whack. First of all, and they ain't had no swag. They wasn't cool. I never felt attached to them. They were always into the culture was different. When we would leave South Central LA to go, my grandma lived in East LA. We would go to East LA to visit them. It was like a whole nother world. The way they talk, the way they act, the lingo, the language, the food, their persona. It was just different from what we were used to in the hood of South Central LA. So it was a point where it used to be like, hey, we want to go to grandma's house. Okay, yeah, we're going to grandma's house. And then by the time we hit 11, 12, 13, want to go to grandma's house? Nah, I'm cool. I'll stay here. All of us. She used to come and pile 4 of her kids, and we used to all ship to grandma's house as kids. By the time we got older, 11, 12, 13, nobody would come except my mama because she loved her mom. She wanted to see her mom. And we stopped going over there completely. And I'm completely unfamiliar with that whole entire side of the family because I know that there's racial tension. And I just know that's what it's like. And it's unfair. And that's my experience with it. And I just feel like Black culture is so much more cooler. It's more open. It's more natural for me. It was more natural for me. Plus, you know, and we got Hispanics and Blacks in the hood in South Central LA too. But there's just something, it was just something different. When you grow up poor as we were, 5 of us in a 1-bedroom apartment sleeping on a queen size mattress every night, bunched up together. You know, my dad, long story short, my dad was abusing my mama and they got divorced, you know, real nasty stuff. And you know what I'm saying? The hood raised us after that. We was in the hood, we was in the streets, and my mom did the best she could. You know, there's only so much a mama could do, especially a mom who was a traditional baby boomer who grew up to be a housewife, who didn't have that education, who was all about taking care of the kids and the family. And then her husband, you know, left her in a house that she couldn't pay for with 4 kids. And we had to go through the system, you know, county, living in hotels and all that bad shit. So
Hey,
I
Jody.
would say that absolutely it's the Black side.
Hey, Jody, I got a question to ask you. Could you explain HH about how it's not Hispanics, Mexicans and African Americans don't get along in LA? I think you're kind of leaving that out. So it's not Hispanic per se, but how Mexicans and African
American Mexicans too, specifically Chicanos, right?
So I couldn't understand your question. What you say
I
exactly?
said, could you explain to HH that how Mexican Americans in LA and African Americans don't get along? That's something quite particular to the West Coast.
Yeah. So I guess you would say because we're geographically closer to Mexico, it's like for New York, you know, you got Puerto Ricans and a lot of maybe some Cubanos and some Dominicans, and the West Coast is Mexicans. It's Mexicans from Mexico, a lot of El Salvadorians, and we're all mixed together.
Oh, okay. So your Hispanic side, is that Mexican? Is that Puerto Rican? Is that Cuban?
I would say it's more Mexican and Native American. And Native American is what it's at. Mexican, Native American, and I'm Filipino as well.
Oh wow!
All on my mama's side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
my great grandfather is like full blood Filipino from the Philippines, and like he got with his woman. His wife was half Native, and I believe half Mexican, I believe, and then it trickled down.
Okay. All right. So I want just to move this on now to our next big topic, and it's something that we sort of touched upon, but something I want to bring is now. This is about cancel culture. So and obviously, and this is why I'm so glad that Jody came on, because this is pretty much what spawned it upon me, which is, and see, cancel culture, it's almost similar to the whole BLM thing. It's similar, not the same, but similar. So here's where I stand, is that the initial intention is good, i.e., people who are problematic, people who have done serious crimes and serious things, we should completely get rid of them, silence them, cancel them, for lack of a better word. But what I've been seeing, and this is with everything starts with the great intentions. Then people now have power. And once they use this power, they then abuse that power, and they then just take it over the edge. So, again, this is what I saw from this is kicking from Jody's corner, what I was watching from him. So again, Jody, if I'm missing anything out, you can maybe fill the lines, and then I want to not get everyone's views upon this. So here I am just watching a video of his where, again, we don't really need to go through the whole backlog, but very simply, there's a actor called Ray Fisher who has been making these allegations with regards to Joss Whedon has been abusing people and so forth. And Jody puts out a video where it looks like if he calls him Gay Fisher, calling him gay. And you know, in Twitter world, that is the trigger word that will get you cancelled. The reason why my friend, what's his name? Kevin Hart, why didn't he do the Oscars? They dragged up something from years ago, a joke he made years ago. He's a comedian, by the way. He's a comedian. A joke they dragged years ago that he already apologized for. They said, we're going to bring this guy down. Let's get from 7 years ago, ruin what he said himself. This was my dream to host the Oscars. As a guy growing up poor where I am, one of my dreams of, man, if I can just be like, you know, one of these other black guys that I saw hosting, let me be the Oscars. Dream was taken away because once that gets attached to you, I mean, I don't know whether we want to talk about the power that the LGBTQ community have. I don't know no way we want to go there, but we can definitely go there. But once that gay thing gets attached to you, that can bring you down. So with regards to Jody, because again, Jody then said, wait a minute, no. I said Yay Fisher because it was referencing to how Kanye West makes all these tweets about, man, the Jenners are doing this to me. My wife is crazy. But okay, you're saying all this stuff, but you're not giving us any kind of meat on the bone. So, and the thing about it is that people rushed to say, Jody said Gay Fisher, oh, he is homophobic. He hates gay people. How can you go there? Boom. And once that's not attached to him, it's like he's homophobic. Boom. Puts him in that corner there. And that can harm you in today's extremely sensitive world. But if you go to a court of law, let's find one who gets cancelled. Look, they try to cancel flipping Dave Chappelle based on his comedy thing. But when you go to a court of law and you do a character examination on someone, you ask people like, okay, like, what is this person? Would this person do something like this and so forth? So, and then and if you were to ask me who I've known Jody, I'm like, he would not go and call someone blatantly Gay Fisher. That's wild, based on the years I've seen watching him. And if you use your brain, Yay Fisher just makes more logical sense. So before I get thoughts about everyone on cancel culture, let me just go to Jody and just your general thoughts about what happened to you and the whole cancel culture thing. And then I'll then go to Sam, CA, Danny, and Jay. So Jody.
First of all, freak Yay Fisher. Ray Fisher's a bitch for slandering my name and making up all those lies and getting me in the situation. But I'm pretty much out of it because I looked cancel culture in the face when people thought I was going to end my YouTube channel and I said freak them. So I'm going head on attacking the shit. I'm not going to lay down and just roll over and let them motherfuckers come at me. So that's just how I handled the situation. Cancel culture is toxic than a motherfucker. It absolutely is. And it all stems down to soyness. We are a soy, soft, mushy, trash, garbage society, and I believe social media contributed heavily to it. In the 90s, saying something was gay was looked at as saying something was uncool or unfavorable. Bruh, them shoes is gay. But they tried now in 2020, saying anything gay is just completely wrong, period. And I get that. I feel that. But you legitimately can't critique film. You legitimately can't give your opinion on a topic or a subject without thinking how other people are going to receive it, without worrying about somebody taking something out of context and trying to make up an all new narrative to be able to cancel you based off somebody who lives in another country without a face with a lot of followers who are fake. That's the world that we live in today. It's all about social media is the number one catalyst that's getting people canceled because we don't even talk to girls in the street no more. I've been with my girl 11 years. We still together. I have a 10-year-old son. Back in 2008, it wasn't that long ago. Used to holler at girls on the street. Hey, how you doing? What's your name? My name is, the shtick. Now everybody's using dating apps, bro. It's a dating app. People are finding women off dating apps. Like that's the normal thing. It's just a different world out there. You come up to a girl in the streets and you talk to her. Most of the time, it's like she's ignoring you. She'll spook you. But then you could go on her Instagram and hit her up and say, "Yo, what's up?" And then they'll be like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" I don't understand. And I'm not even that old. I just noticed that we have crumbled as a society from 2010. This decade, this last 10 years has been a crumbling of our society to straight absolute softness. And my number one blame for cancel culture is bad. Yes, I understand. Cancel culture is only a thing because of how powerful social media is. It gives power to a nerd in a cave, in a basement, in Indiana somewhere with no friends, no opinions, no real sense of being or existence, to then draft something up from his computer, send it out to millions of people, it gained traction, and then comes at the footstep, at the doorstep of the celebrity to get him in trouble. Bruh, that is insanity. That's Skynet.
All right. So, Sam, thoughts on this? It's cancel culture.
Yeah, cancel culture. So there are levels to this shit. I think they're really the way that you can say it is that there's levels. So yeah. So when you got early levels, you're talking like, okay, one guy, like a cop is talking about like, oh, I love shooting these niggers or something like that. Or an employer saying that this is why we don't hire guys like this for this certain job because of their race. Those guys need to get canceled. Those guys need to get fired. Those guys need to be put on blast, and they need to lose their fucking jobs. But then again, a good example of like cancel culture out of control is like, give you a good idea of this. Sebastian Stan, I think this happened like about 3 weeks, like about a month ago. Like his girlfriend, which I mean, who I think he was like he hasn't really been in a serious relationship with, like about 6 months ago, took a picture in like a kimono, and people are saying that are trying to cancel Sebastian Stan for that shit because she was quote unquote culturally appropriating.
Oh my god.
When it gets to that, when you're talking about shit like that's that level, or even somebody who used "don't be gay" like in a context like he's on the street, I mean, you're getting to a point where it's just like going overboard. To me, I like it when it's someone who can hurt someone who can affect someone's life, talking about things that can hurt somebody or affect someone's life, whether it's their livelihood or whether it's their physical life. Those people need to get canceled. People who are just talking their mind and talking shit, they don't need to get canceled. Even if it's people that are famous that say something that you don't like and you don't agree with, I'd rather just have them just say their piece. And if I don't like what they have to say, I'm not going to give them money. I'm not going to support them. I'm going to tell my friends about them to not support them. But I'm not going to cancel them. I'm not going to put them on blast. I mean, I'm going to let all my friends know not to deal with them, but I'm not going to cancel them.
Okay. Corey.
Yeah, can you guys hear
me? Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah. I have a little bit of a different opinion about this. Like, I'm still not really sold on this whole cancel culture thing, being the devil incarnate. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure, like with anything, if it gets out of hand, it can be. But regular guys on the street like me, I'm not really worried about cancel culture. The only people I see threatened by cancel culture are famous blacks and outspoken white men. This is just my perspective here. 3.5 white men on this pick here out of 6, for example. You know what I'm saying? So the rest of us normies aren't really threatened by that, man. But then again, I don't live in a PC environment. I don't live in California, so maybe I'm missing something. I get the impression like these ultra liberal places like California, this cancel culture shit is a lot more serious. I live in a very conservative bubble. Sam and I both live in a very conservative bubble, so we don't really have cancel culture here. People say crazy shit to me all the time at work, in public, whatever. Nobody's really clutching their pearls over that. So I guess it depends on where you are. Like the brother Jody said, because everything is on social media now. Maybe that's why it's been put on blast. But locally, on the local level, cancel culture doesn't affect me at all. I'm sitting here watching mostly rich, famous Black comedians and entertainers and white men complaining about like Joe Rogan and shit, complaining about cancel culture, and all the pseudo white supremacists that he has on the show complain about cancel culture. Those are the only people I see complaining about cancel culture. So I don't know, man. Donald Trump ain't been canceled yet, as far as I know, and he says crazy shit all the time. So do they cancel people who sincerely apologize? The people that I've seen who weren't able to recover gave kind of a half-hearted fucking apology. It's obvious it wasn't sincere. So I wonder, do they cancel people who sincerely feel, like, hey, I fucked up, I apologize, let me do something to help? Dog the Bounty Hunter, for example, when he said that crazy shit on TV, he reached out to the Black community, he went to church, he went to a couple barbecues, he tried. He sincerely reached out. I don't know what position he's in now. I think he's completely canceled now. But you know what I'm saying? It wasn't sincere. When Roseanne got canceled, she never really said sorry. She just said, well, I thought the lady looked like a baboon. Like it wasn't really about her color. I just thought she looked like a baboon. I mean, she didn't really apologize. She didn't really recognize that, okay, saying a Black person looks like a monkey, there's racial undertones to that. There's a history to that. She didn't seem sincere. Those are people that I see who get irredeemably canceled. I don't know. Doesn't the UK have rules against people saying racist shit in public? Like if you say something racist in public or even on social media in the UK, can't you get arrested?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. I mean, because especially it is because of the racism they've had in football and so forth. They've basically been clamping down. So if you say something racist on Twitter or so forth, yeah, it can be a criminal offense, and you can get in trouble for that in the UK.
Yeah, that'll never fly in America. These people want to have the freedom to call anybody a nigger if they want.
Okay, so
what about freedom of speech though? I mean, because like when you start telling people they can't say whatever the hell they want, I get it when it's like, okay, racism, but the thing about it is that when you start limiting people from saying that stuff,
we've had this conversation before, Sam, and we've had this conversation before. Sam, let me ask you something. Let me just ask you, how would you feel if somebody?
I'm going to get there. Wait, Sam, I'm going to get there because I want to talk about how sensitive the society is. So let's everyone just have their piece, and I want to actually hold them. So, Danny.
Yeah. You brought up Kevin Hart, and I think that's maybe an instructive example for me anyway. There's something that we learned. I went to university. I was an English major, and one of the things that they teach you is when you write something or when you say something or when you disseminate something, whether it be a video or whatever the case may be, the moment you press send, the moment you press publish, the moment that you press the send button on Twitter or whatever the case may be, that art is no longer your art. You don't own it. Who owns it are the people who interpret it. So if you put out a video and have hope you're talking about XYZ and other people who are in that community watch that video, the video is no longer yours. Obviously, you can maybe come back and try to correct it or amend it or whatever the case may be, but interpretation is up to the audience. Which then goes.
I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
That means if I publish a book and somebody reads it, the intention that I had to publish the book, that goes. That it doesn't matter. The audience,
your book though.
No, I know, but the audience, the reader interprets the message, not the writer.
So if I say that I love if I say I love white people, I really do. And you interpret the fact that I said really do as a joke and I'm being misinterpreted. That's your fault. I said I love white people.
I know, but that's all I'm saying is that interpretation is not up to the creator. Interpretation is up to the receiver.
Yeah.
Freak interpretation.
I get what
freak
you're
interpretation. I understand what you're saying too, but freak that. That's why we're soft. Go by what I say. If you go by what we say and do, that'll just be it. When people start to take what we say and say, I took that as, no, I don't care what you took it as. Go by what I actually said.
I agree. I agree with you. I'm just laying the foundation of why things are like they are.
Because go on, Danny. Go on.
So that's the foundation of why things are like they are. You can put out a message, but you can't control it once you hit send. It's up to the people who receive it. That's number one. Number two, going back to Kevin Hart. In that construct, I really feel like it's poor from people who go back like 5-10 years to find people of actions that would have been acceptable in one society within reason. Obviously, people use this argument with slavery. Oh, slavery was acceptable. Nah, it was never acceptable. But in kind of layman's issues or just general issues, if Kevin Hart had a joke of, I would have beat my gay son on some comic view comedy, people in the audience would have understood that he was just joking around. He didn't really mean it in the same way. But if we use values from 10, 15 years later to judge things from the 90s or the mid 2000s, it's obviously going to be skewed. So I feel like that's a bit poor. Now, I think, who was it CA that said something about Joe Rogan? And this I find particularly rich from people like Joe Rogan. Every now and again, because I just need to see what the ops are up to, I'll watch Fox News. So there's this dude called Tucker Carlson. Joe Rogan has the biggest podcast in media, American media.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson has the biggest evening news show. I think over 4 million people watch it every day. These two are like the biggest people on late night television and in podcasts. For them to be saying, "Oh, cancel culture, I hate cancel culture," for me, it always feels rich. Like, so more people listen to you, Joe Rogan, your show, than anybody, but you're worried about cancel culture? I don't understand that, and maybe somebody can score that with me.
Maybe he sees a lot of his friends getting canceled that don't deserve it, and he's speaking up on their behalf.
True.
Maybe he doesn't like to see somebody getting done wrong, so he speaks up on it. I mean, I could see a dude getting done dirty in the street, and I don't know who the freak he is, but I'm like, damn, that was messed up what they did to him. And if I feel like taking that energy to my channel and I'm talking on a topic, and I'm like, yo, today I saw some dude getting his sheet wrecked. So, and I want to put that on my brand, then that's my choice. And I feel like maybe that's what Joe Rogan is probably doing. You don't have to be a part of cancel culture to not like it. Like, you can see it's terrible.
Okay, that's fair. What's it called? So, Mr. J, thoughts on this, man? Cancel culture, where do you stand?
So let me give you a little background on these. So, like, say it again, I grew up in Florida, so I moved to San Francisco. You cannot get more mangina sensitive than any city in the U.S. Man, I had to tone it down like 5 notches. Jody, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
I mean, I get it, the movement, what they try to do. I get it. But I kind of notice sometimes when you have this cancel culture, you can try to dictate policies and make people think the way you want to think. Prime example, transgender.
I mean, you gonna touch the alphabet, people? You really gonna touch the alphabet, people?
You damn right I am. I'm gonna say this. People can do whatever they want to do, but when you start telling me to think that you are a man or you're transvestite, I'm supposed to look at you as a man, you're trying to push an ideology. You're not talking about how you're being discriminated. Now I can't say that on my Instagram. I may get fired from my tech job. Motherfuckers been fired out here in California. See, I don't know about that from their tech job for even having an opposite opinion. Didn't say anything attacking, just said, hey man, I think, a man that turns into a woman is a man, lost their job. Now you're trying to tell me what to think just because I don't agree with the philosophy. This is where it crosses the line, and I have an issue with it. Don't tell me what to think. I'm sorry if you had a dick in a kickstand before. I'm sorry, bro. You still a man. But they look at me as I'm wrong for saying that. I'm not saying this guy shouldn't get a job. She can't get a job, or get the same access. We're not talking about that. But I kind of feel, if you think about it, you can't say anything about that community because that community has money. You know why? Because it's white males that run it. They have a larger voice. Same thing with the feminist movement. You can't say anything against this because white women are winning this movement. I don't care what nobody say. I look at the feminist movement as white women with the same opportunity as white men. And a lot of black women are still behind this. If you say anything that any white woman deems is wrong, your ass going to be off too. Another two movements. So those are two movements that are basically affects white people. But when it comes to racism, now they're starting to cancel people here and there, and now we have this BLM movement. But it's been but what they're saying now, well, all these discriminations are the same. Like, yeah, I mean, I kind of feel that who deems the cancel culture? It ain't people of color, it's white. Always remember that. What dictates how we think and what we think. And I feel, especially out here in California, I don't know. I feel they just try to take masculinity out of men, period. Like, I can't even express, if I even try, like, if I'm walking down the street talking about dating, I'm trying to holler at a chick, oh my God, it's so creepy. Oh, dude, it is so bad. I mean, you can't even express any masculinity without you being saying, oh, that's male toxicity. Like, hold on, what's wrong with being a male?
You know what they do, and you know what they do to people who think like that in Texas, Brother Jay? They punch them in the fucking mouth. So I'm just saying, maybe if somebody wants to talk about their feelings, that's cool. I understand your point though, man. But I think you're right. Masculine, being a man in general, is looked at as being toxic right now. It's not even down to like New York getting rid of people being able to sit and man spread, as they call it. I'm sorry if I don't want to sit on top of my balls. It's like you can get a ticket for that. You can actually be fined by the state for sitting as a man.
Can I finish, my brother? I just got one piece to hit at. One more piece, and I'll let you go.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You already brought up about the dating thing. It is so true. Like, people don't interact anymore. Everything is on the internet, so people can talk mad shit on internet and post. Huh? Like, yeah, people can pose who they really are, but in reality, in the real world, they're not. Like Jody said, you could. It's the internet, like, about dating, especially the dating out here. If you try to talk to a girl on the street, she won't talk to you. But if I could same girl, I swear this happened to me. I seen her on Instagram or whatever. I swiped it right. Yeah. I said, hey, I talked to you on the street. Oh, you did? Like, yeah, but I mean, this whole, it's taken away. You need a balance. Not everybody's going to be ultra liberal. And people say progressive. Progressive and liberal are two different things. You can be progressive by idea and make things normal, but when you ultra liberal about things, to me, you're no different from the right, because when you choose two extremes, you end up touching each other's asses. Because this is the problem right now. People are not going to always agree with everything that is ultra liberal. And when you get in this cancel culture, you can't really speak your mind. Once you're not insulting anybody and doing hate speech, you should be able to have a polarized opinion different from someone else. But we're at this point now that a lot white men want to be as equal. White gay men want to be as equal as straight men. White women want to be as equal as white men. So we're gonna take a backseat and stay quiet until they get their equal rights, and we still gonna be thrown in fucking jail and our neck fucking stepped on. But let white people get their issues out, and we can't really talk about things on TV. Well, that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, so before I go to NBA, I just have to. This is funny. So this guy says, I got pulled into the office for saying ladies first when letting colleague out of the door. That's wild. You see, that's wild. That's wild. Okay, so MB, just briefly, so thoughts on cancel culture?
I just got to first say, I feel what Sam was going with, but freedom of speech is about protecting you from the government, not other citizens. So if you say some wild shit and somebody doesn't like it, they don't have to put up with it. They can actually say your business shouldn't put up with it, and they can go after your livelihood. Now, I've had somebody falsely, like I've had someone legitimately threaten to lie to my company about things that I've said. I've straight said, you keep it up, and I'm going to tell your company you did this, and I'm like, but I didn't. And I have proof against that. Doesn't matter, bro. Doesn't matter. And I'm like, all right, cool. That's the world we live in. I think I showed Sam that shit. I showed Sam screenshots of that. But we're in a world now where if you don't like someone having a different opinion, it's not enough to just say, hey, you know what? You have a different opinion than mine. I respect your right to have that opinion. I'm moving on with my day. Nope. You have to make people agree with you. And if they don't, they're racist, sexist, whatever have you. That's the world we live in. And while I understand people want the ability to say what they want, you got to also think it ain't always about what you say. Because while you may be a moderate and say, hey, you know, I think if you're born with a penis, you're always going to be a dude. That could be your truth. And no one's saying you shouldn't be entitled to that. But when you put it out there, the person who is a fucking psychopath who wants to go out there and kill that woman who decides that the person wants to be a woman, the person who goes and wants to split that person's head is emboldened by the fact that somebody else agrees with them. Just the same way as what happened with us, you know, blacks aren't really human. They're 3/5 of men. So, you know, I'm not really killing a person. And someone, you know, it's a stretch, but it's the same thought pattern. That's what they're against. Why they're saying, well, you can't say that. It's just to keep the negativity out of the space. It's not even about your innate right to say it. It's just another way of looking at it. But cancel culture in general is bullshit. People need to learn how to agree and disagree like adults and realize that the world is not always going to agree with them.
Hey, MB, can I just say real quick? Like you said something really important, bro. And I brought this up to you before. You back in the day, man, freedom of speech used to mean freedom to speak truth to power. Remember that? Remember, freedom of speech used to mean freedom to speak truth to that big ass company or that big ass agency or that big ass government that's fucking people up. Before, you couldn't do that. Freedom of speech meant, or freedom of speech meant that you could. Now, freedom of speech means I don't want to get in trouble for saying whatever the fuck I want to say to you. I mean, it's morphed over time. You can say it, but there's going to be consequences. And a part of me thinks that
not freedom of consequence. But go ahead.
Exactly. A part of me thinks that the people in power kind of won, right? They kind of won because now instead of questioning what the fuck they're doing, we're fighting with each other about pronouns. So that's all I gotta say.
Okay, so wait. Let's move to the next. So the society that we live in, sensitivity. And this is something that has always been brought up for a while. That are we too sensitive? Why are we too sensitive? And are people too reactionary? We have to now step on eggshells. So I remember growing up in school and so forth, when I first, moved away from Nigeria abroad, if anybody said nigger, was on, fight. Nigger, boom, was on. And look, I was in a racist school with a lot of racist people, so I was getting into fights a lot and having to punch a lot of white guys who thought they could just say nigger and all this kind of stuff. But as you mature and you grow older, you know that they're saying this to try to trigger you. And you have to pick your battles and really be a lot more aware and a lot more smarter. And I just think that it's in a world now where if you say anything, you're done. And people's sense, and look, as human beings, we all have a level of sensitivity because we're human beings, we are emotional. But see, I would say in life that you need a balance in life. You need the pendulum to do this, but the pendulum has just gone way in this corner where anything you say, you're cancelled, you're done, you're finished. Again, for my main channel that I do, what's it called? Football Hot. There are people who are sensitive about Cristiano and Messi. So if I just say Cristiano is garbage trash, there are people that literally want to kill me. They want to beat me up, and they say, "You nigger, you loser, Nigeria, I hate your country." I say, wait a minute. I just said that this player is average, and you're insulting my country, my skin color. You are calling me monkey, baboon, all these things. Wait, what? And that is and I think that is problematic. And you see it even in films and so forth, because you care so much about, again, I'm sure George Jody will know, because you care about Zack Snyder's films. If you say, no, because again, I think Snyder is a trash director. Oh my gosh, what? Die? But I'm like, why are you so sensitive? And people take the sensitivity to extremity and bring it in with cancel culture. So I'm going to come first to Sam with this. Do you feel and do you believe that, or do you agree or disagree that we are too sensitive? And do you think a far too sensitive society is problematic? And why do you think a society that is far too sensitive, that literally has zero tolerance for anything and does not allow it to apologize for anything, could be problematic? Or do you think a sensitive society maybe keeps us in check and is a better society? Sam?
I think we're shifting more into a sensitive society and a heavily sensitive society. I've got a good example of this because I'm in a Facebook group that's about some like expats where I live. And there was this post in the group where like one dude was posting a rant about like some guy, like some person who put a moped between his car and another car. And then he was going off about it and he said the word retard in that. And then people were going all sorts of crazy about it. Like, you don't use the word no, it wasn't even retard. He used the word idiot. It wasn't even retard. It was idiot, which is, to me, is just like very generic. And people were going like all types of like ape shit about it. And I was just looking at the amount of replies, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, what have we become? Like, where like people are like getting all like sensitive about somebody saying idiot in a post. Now there is some stuff that I do say should keep us in check. And that's why I was saying, like, I'm not fully against some of the actions that have come out of cancel culture, such as like somebody says something racist, they should expect consequences, especially if they're in a position of authority, if they're in a position where they can hurt somebody or affect somebody's money or affect somebody's life. But then again, when you get to like these crazy things like that, then it's just like that's not building strong people. Because there's a saying, there's hard times build strong people. Strong people build good times. Good times build weak people. Weak people build hard times. Something along the lines of that, and that's pretty much what you're seeing going on right now.
All right, Jody.
So I think there's a lot that was said. I said this in wave one, but I feel like we're not really targeting and captivating what was said. There's two words. That's the answer to this. There's two words that's that deserves all of the blame for the question of why are we so soft? Why is society like this? And I heard earlier somebody said that he had a difference of opinion talking about in local settings, cancel culture doesn't exist, which I kind of understand what he was saying. But with these two words, it proves that statement to be untrue. Like the spinning wheel, the steam engine in history, the Industrial Revolution, in comes the newest wave that shapes the world. Social media is the most powerful tool on the planet right now. It has the ability to sway nations, the opinions of a whole population, where something said at 1 p.m. or something done in your local setting you were talking about. If two people are in my neighborhood, if two people have an issue and, one guy calls him a faggot and then the faggot does a roundhouse kick to the guy and knocks him out. They both get up later and they both walk away, and that's the end of it. Not if there happens to be a tween with a camera phone on you, because now you're on social media and the whole motherfucking world just saw a homophobe get roundhouse kicked by a gay guy and knocked out. So when the guy gets up and goes home and he thinks it's all fine, he goes home to his wife. Hey, honey, how you doing? Why you have a black eye? Oh, baby, I fell. He thinks it's over. Oh, no, it ain't over. Because now social media is spinning 10,000 views, 20,000 views, 1 million, 10 million views. That sheet, you wake up, you go into work the next day. Hi, Phil. Dang, Bob. Oh, geez, your eye's bad. Yeah, I fell. Well, I need to see you. Come on in my office. Yeah, what's going on? Well, I need to talk about the incident yesterday. Well, no incident. I just slipped. I had my I slipped, fell, hit my eye. It's okay. Well, Bob, according to the world, it looks like you called a gay guy a faggot and you got roundhouse kicked and knocked out. I'm sorry, we're gonna have to let you go. We can't condone this type of behavior. So it doesn't exist. So long as this shit is around, a GoPro, a camera phone, security camera footage that they released to social media, that powerful engine will wreck anyone anywhere. It has the power to sway opinions by the millions and billions. That is why we are soft as a society. That's why we have this type of soy world that we live in. And I 100% put the blame on the invention and adoption, because we had to adopt it. So we're at fault too of social media.
Can I give a quick counter, Double H?
Okay, actually, okay. So, I mean, but before you go, and then I'll give it to her. I think basically it is because even social media is even a whole different topic. But I think, see, the issue is and I even have to stop myself from doing this, is that people are obsessed with social media. Like, women live on Instagram because they need those likes to validate their low self-esteem. Some women do, not all, but some women do. And a lot of us are obsessed on Facebook and on Twitter because that is where we can hide behind an avatar of an egg and say racist things or get out our ... is over party and so forth. And I just think that technology has been an advantage and a disadvantage to us. It's been an advantage because, look, it's brought out cool things. Twitter is a cool app. Instagram is a cool app. And the touch phone is an amazing app. But the disadvantage is, as I said, we don't interact anymore. Our thinking is lazy. We write lazy. We become dumber. We've become a lot more reactionary. And society, and even especially now, during the whole COVID thing right now, when people are fully stuck on their phones 24/7, it has even made us less natural to wait. Because I told you, like, when I grew up, especially in Nigeria, internet was not a concept. You had to meet people, you had to view people. But right now, some 6-year-old white kid on a Halo can call me a nigger after he headshots me on a Halo Reach. And I can't get it. And he can say, yo, nigger this, when he sends me a message on Twitter or something like that, which is crazy. So, Danny, you said you wanted a rebuttal. Danny.
Well, it's not a rebuttal. It's just kind of like the other side. So what the biggest thing that has happened this year was we saw a man, because of social media and because someone had a camera phone, be choked out for 8 minutes and 46 seconds by a police officer. And without that video evidence, without one of those tweens maybe having a phone and filming it, then, George Floyd dies and who knows what happened. The cop probably just goes home and does say, yeah, hey honey, how was work today? I had an accident. And what's the dude, the Chauvin? He just goes on and lives his life. But because somebody was there with the camera, that guy's now in jail. Hopefully he goes away for a long time. If we even want to take it back further, it wasn't even a camera, it wasn't a,
or Rodney King.
Yeah, it wasn't a smartphone, but somebody actually had like the actual camcorder while 7, 8, 9 LAPD were beating the shit out of Rodney King, and that sparks a social a rebellion of sorts. So I do think we have to play it both ways. Like, yeah, of course, things can always go left, and we've heard great arguments today of how things have gone too left, but the advent of technology is not a complete negative. If it were, then I don't think
that's the positive side of it for sure.
Yeah, I don't think any of us would be talking right now were it not for social media. Like, this YouTube hangout right now wouldn't exist. So, like,
I feel like it's done more harm than good for our society as a human race.
I don't know. I mean, no, I'm not saying it hasn't done harm. Of course it has, but I mean,
no. But
I got something to say about that. I got something to say about that.
Everything is how you use it. It is social media in and of itself is a great invention. If used badly, it can be harmful. But in
my only issue with my
it's how you
have hope. My only issue with social media really is the anonymity of it. So if on Twitter or Facebook you had to put your actual name, your actual phone number, your actual picture, your actual address, all that kind of stuff, then I think people will probably be less assholes because, oh, you want to talk shit to me? I know where you live. I know where you are. It is what it is. But because you can put 7,000 different numbers in your Twitter handle and you have the benefit of anonymity to where, okay, I am going to call you a nigga. What are you going to do about it? You can't find me. That kind of thing. That's my only issue. But then I guess that would probably lead more to cancel culture in the sense that some racist person is going to say whatever they want to say. They're going to stand on their platform, whatever. And we now know your name. We now know where you live. And that happens.
And also the key thing is that which is why I love Xbox Live and social media, because of the anonymity. Because you wouldn't say that if we can see it to you. But so this proves that racism really exists because that's how you truly feel, because you wouldn't say
that's the real you. That's the real you.
Yeah, that's true. So Xbox Live, social media brings out the realness of society. Corey.
Yeah, and that's what I was basically saying. I think social media just exposes something in society that's always been there.
Facts.
That's just always been there. I don't think because of social media exposed something. You can't possibly police everything that people say. You can only do it the long. It's you can only do it in the way of the long, slow process of actually fixing the root cause of what's in society. You know what I'm saying? Social media is just a tool. You don't blame books for disseminating hateful information. You blame the people who write the fucking pages on the books. You know what I'm saying? At least that's how I look at it. In a way, you have people who are a lot more open now, saying crazy shit. Some people don't really know about the time and the place and the setting. And they'll be quoting Chappelle show, "Fuck your couch, nigga," at work, in the break room at work. Something has actually happened to me. I mean, I'm like, bro, this is not the time and the place for that. Then again, you have a lot more people who are sensitive nowadays. People who I think they make way too much of a big deal about stuff. You wonder, how did you grow up, man? Because what you're complaining about is kind of like nothing, So I think we need to go back to there being a fucking element of danger when you say something out of pocket, and that's hard to do over social media. You should feel fear when you're at a party full of black people and you're a white guy and you're making jokes about black people. Sam knows what I'm talking about. That danger should be so palpable that you should even feel it when you do it from your fucking keyboard at 1 a.m. But
but why?
The problem is with that is that from your computer, there's supposed to be that security of anonymity.
Well, I like the idea that the DT said. I hope in the future, in order to use these big social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, you have to have some kind of official verification, some way to be able to trace your ass back if they need to.
They'll never do that.
I really hope.
We know they can do it.
The reason they'll never do it is because these companies need bodies or accounts in order to be economically viable. So you will have one person create 10 different accounts with 10 different emails, which we had 3 million new users show up. You start canceling people individually and they can never come back, the platform will go down.
Yeah.
The other
I know personally know a troll.
Jay.
Oh, me.
Jay,
What was the question again? We kind of went off rip. What was the main topic again? I'm sorry.
So basically, are we living in a society that is far too sensitive? And do you think that society is so sensitive, not so sensitive enough? Do you think a sensitive society is actually good or unhealthy?
Well, that's a kind of a double-edged sword question, right? I think it has some good and some bad. I do understand the point of they try to regulate things for things to be said, not to be hate speech. But I think we need more talk about conformism, right? The people who has the loudest voice to push a movement, right? To say what is sensitive. Who's deeming what is sensitive? It ain't black folks, I tell you that. But who's deeming what is sensitive to conformism? You need to think this way. This is philosophy. So this ultra liberalism is being pushed all over the U.S., and this is why you have the right pushing back. We have this very unbalanced because everybody just don't believe in a very ultra liberal way. I keep bringing up very ultra liberalism. I'm not against liberal, but I'm talking about the very extreme ultra liberalism. I think Jody knows what I'm talking about when I speak about very ultra liberalism. Everything is just a liberal answer is going to fix everything, and that's not the truth. So we do live in a way of a form of conformism that I'm kind of scared of. That you don't have creativity and people just trying things. You just got to do what the norm says. So the internet's kind of conforming people into culture, what music they listen to. So, but it do bring good. The internet does with technology, because we wouldn't be talking right here talking about things if it wasn't for technology. Now, a lot of the bad things we come to talk about, Corey brought up having people IPs addressed. That's why the EU had GDPR, dog. You can't be doing that's called privacy laws. That's a no, man. So people identities had to be protected. Like
no, not IP addresses, but I mean, like, man, you know me, man. I don't like government regulation, but there's got to be some kind of a way to hold people accountable online, man. Banks do it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to open up a fucking bank account, if you want to have a job or whatever.
Hackers, man. These kids are hackers, man. These kids are hackers. You can't catch these kids, man. They're too smart.
So I'm not. I
got for saying nigger, or saying that they don't like niggers or some shit like that. I mean, bro, like, I mean, you're gonna have people to say that shit regardless.
Yeah. So
it's totally different though. Like millions of people are not seeing it and empowering other people to say it. I just want to inject a little bit real quick. So, and you're right. Like, I don't want to be stepping on no one's toes, but when somebody in society who is a recluse, a nerd, a dweeb, a insecure little person, whatever the reason is that they're like that, in real society, bro, they would know their place. And I'm not trying to be arrogant. Like, they would know that
it's real. It's real.
They would know that they can't just go up to a guy and be like, "Freak you, you nigger," because he get his shit wrecked. But on social media now, we know he could do that. It emboldens the cave-dwelling evil motherfuckers to put their chests out and put it out there. And here's another thing that I'm going to inject why social media is terrible, because it could be swayed. It is manipulated by people in power. The woman in YouTube, the creative director of YouTube who runs YouTube, got exposed 6 or so months ago. A private conversation she was being filmed and she didn't know it, where she was getting this new client and she says, "Oh yeah, I like you. Yeah, we could definitely make you a YouTube account. We could get you hundreds of thousands of subscribers in the first couple of months." You have people who on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Google, whatever. You have people who are presidents, CEOs, tech guys who can give people followers by the millions. Just give them followers, whether it be by directing you to subscribe to this person, putting them on your feed, lasting them on there. And that is giving people power. If I want to get a Klansman to have a lot of followers to promote hate, I will give him 10 million followers over the next 6 months by funneling traffic to him. So now that person that has an agenda that doesn't like black people, now I empowered him. And whenever he says something against blacks, it's actually in the air to millions of people. And this guy over here who says that he wants to kill abortion. Well, all right, if I'm Twitter, all right, guys, this guy, I like his idea. Let's get him up to about 5 million followers over the next 5 months organically. Yes, sir. And that's how it is. And guess what? Now he's promoting his bullshit, and now it's going to millions of people effing up the society. That is why social media is terrible. People running that shit have the ability to change and adjust the narrative, and that's which is way too much power. No one man should have all that power.
Luckily for us, though, because of social norms, they're not letting those fucking hateful people get that power. I mean, there's certain limits to what.
Yeah, they're doing it with the squishy, the soft people.
Yeah, but can I interject to that? The point we left off. So you guys keep talking about the internet, but I think TV pushed more ideologies than the internet. Think about it. You watch Netflix, Narcos. You watch Narcos Colombia. When people think about Colombia, they think about the bad bitches and the cocaine, right? I mean, that's not good for those people. You have Boys in the Hood. So so the internet is doing what TV is doing, but the internet is doing it times 2, right? So it's what content that you put it on there, right? It's all about the content that you put on there. Like, let me give you an example of conformism. I knew this girl in Greece. I fucked her a couple times. And she was putting all this Black Lives Matter stuff on there. And I asked her, so do you know what the issue is? She grew up in Greece. She could not give me an explanation why she put the plain black screen.
See, that's a problem. That's a
She
problem.
didn't understand. She didn't research. So this, when I mean this conformance, and people just do things to follow. So it's easy to follow and promote hate. But this is the thing about it is Corey made a point. This is the things already what been happening already. It's just on the internet. I mean, people, we had hate in our society. Look all go back 100 years what we were doing before. So I think the internet is taking things out the dark into light. But I kind of feel that it has a lot of good points because it does push easy to get access to education. How many people learn how to code on the internet? How many people learn new job skills? So I don't think it's all bad. Do I say government regulation fix it? No, I don't really believe in big government in that pace. But this is my last name and walk out to this. Who is driving what is the norm? Are we driving it, or are they telling us what to drive? And you know what I mean by them. Think about that.
All right, MB, round us off. Cancel culture. MB.
I think the points that were made are true. I mean, Jody hit it spot on. What is acceptable, what isn't acceptable is now being spoon-fed to people. Personally, I think it goes back further than that. I think it all went to hell the first time a nerd got power and started changing society so that he wouldn't have to stay in the basement. And that's when we started getting, like, people always say that they blame the participation awards for shit, right? But the kids it's the kids in the bleachers who watch the rest of us play in gym class because they couldn't, are the ones telling us what's right and what's wrong now.
Facts. Facts.
And it's like
judges and politicians.
Yes, and it's like at this point we're like the dude who always wanted to get back at Brad, the football player who was fucking the prom queen.
Facts.
Couldn't do it when he was in high school, but now he's got a little bit of power. And now he knows that Brad is still that asshole from high school. So he's going to make Brad's entire way of life wrong. There's no better revenge than destroying somebody's life by not actually hurting them, making them live and hate their fucking life every day that they open their eyes. Dudes like Joe Rogan, who hit the fucking genetic lottery and woke up a white man in America, dudes like that. Now, Joe worked hard to get where he is. I'm not taking from that. But at the same time, he is crying about his friends getting canceled. Friends who said wild shit that back in the day, they could get away with. The world's not like that anymore. And it's because the people who they were saying that kind of shit to back in the day are now in charge of shit.
There's somebody
they run
now.
Shit now. There's somebody now. They have power now. They were the weak geek getting beat up behind the school in high school, and they're still weak.
But now they're sitting on George Floyd's neck.
But they've got money now. Because while Brad, the football jock, is working at fucking AutoZone, they are a tech CEO. They've got clout. They are the ones who, to Jody's point, they're the ones who drive the dollars that make the social media companies want to promote this person or that person. Because at a dinner party or at a golf outing, they'll say, I really like X, Y, and Z. And that greedy ass motherfucker from the social media company will say, we need to promote more of this because these kind of people will spend money on our site for ad space. That's what happens. So in truth, cancel culture, it's not real. It was fed to us by the powers that be to keep us fighting each other and not looking at them. Because let's be real, I'm more concerned about Zuckerberg saying, I don't really necessarily want to stop. I don't necessarily want to fact check everything that these politicians are saying. I don't want to do that. Like, I'm worried about that shit. I'm not worried about whether or not I can see the N-word drop 20 times in a post, but then if I say damn black people or whatever, I get banned for a month. Like, weird shit like that. Like, there's no consistency, right? But cancel culture is bullshit. Not because there aren't valid reasons for it, but because it was never started by us. It was started by the people who we say we hate as a system of fucking control. It is Zion. It's been destroyed 7 times. We just don't know about it.
All right, so Wait, so I mean, again, does anyone, because final topic, or does someone want to say something?
Yeah, I mean about cancel culture, MB's absolutely right, because the whole concept of it, I mean, the whole concept of it was created, and the whole argument against it was created by the powers that be. I mean, essentially it's people that were saying that, hey, we see that something's going on here. I mean, that culture really is just cancel culture, as MB said, really, like, as we think about it, it's just basically the whole platform of people just saying we don't like your shit because of what you said, just on a more public platform as social media. And then pretty much the people arguing against that are the powers that be, because people want to be able to say shit.
I gotta. If I can just say one last thing, my last thing on this. You know, I'm more. I just wish people would be more offended by what these TV executives, these politicians, and these people in power think, as opposed to what some fucking rapper, entertainer, socialite thinks. I don't give a fuck at the end of the day what Louis C.K. thinks about black people, man. I care more about what the head of CBS thinks about black people. Or the president thinks about black people, or whatever.
Speaking of the president, that is our final topic. Speaking of our president, a president, Trump. So look, man, Trump had one of the wildest interviews I've ever seen. Trump, this dude is a gangster. He's from the road. He's a shyster. He's a con artist. He's everything all rolled up in one. As in, please, I implore you to go and see this thing. But again, rather than going into details, this goes back to something we said last week. But it's so funny that we mentioned this last week, and he said it in this interview. I told you, man, while thinking of the future. So, our dear friend Trump said he has done more for African Americans, black people in America, more than any president since Abraham Lincoln. And then he was president, and they said, wait, so you did more than Lyndon Johnson, who passed the Civil Rights Bill? And then he then said, well, you know, the Civil Rights Bill, you know, how much did it really help black Americans and so forth? And it's so funny that happened, because when we actually talked about it, we actually mentioned about, okay, how much did the Civil Rights Bill really do, and how much did this really help Americans? And we said that no, Lyndon Johnson, that was a ploy. That was a ploy to keep African Americans under their wing, and really at the end of the day, it worked. So again, sorry about you guys. So what do you guys think about? So I'm going to go first to Sam then. In your view, or maybe you may have time to refresh your view, Trump saying that he's done more for black Americans since Abraham Lincoln. Where do you stand on that thing? Is he bogus? Is he crazy? Or maybe is there some truth to what he's actually saying in terms of how good the economy was before this whole COVID thing, which is what he was stressing, that the economy was the best it's ever been in the history before COVID?
So on that, I think we talked about this the very first time we had one of these things. And I'm going to repeat exactly what I said the last time. No. Fuck no. There's like so much stuff that's happened to the black community between Abraham Lincoln and now. And I could list about 3 or 4 presidents who've done more for the black community than he has. I mean, examples, Eisenhower. I mean, basically integrated the military. You've got people like Lyndon B. Johnson, pretty much bring upon the Civil Rights Act. I mean, you've got numerous others. Maybe he can make an argument about doing more for the black community than the last 2 or 3 presidents, but beyond that, no, not at all. I mean, there's like all sorts of things that have been pushed, that have been shifted and pushed around, that have benefited the black community over the past 60 years, nonetheless passed 150.
Okay. Corey.
Yeah, I'll make this quick as well. Trump is like a battle rapper, or he's, one of those motherfuckers on WWE backstage talking shit, I'm gonna get you, or even a heavyweight boxer. This is kind of what he does. He talks shit. He's always talked shit. And anybody from the East Coast who grew up with Trump on TV knows that this is nothing new. Trump will tell you he's got the greatest brain. He says the greatest speeches. He has the best words. He's the least racist. He's a fucking battle rapper, man. Like, dude, what do you expect? Like, the only people that actually believe what the fuck he's saying are extremely gullible people. So, I look at this like as any other dumb shit he says. I don't really believe it. So, I think the only unique thing about Donald Trump is that he's more of an opportunist and a capitalist than a racist. He's probably one of the only presidents in my memory that cares more about power and money than race. And in that way, yeah, and that way you can kind of manipulate the situation.
People have it because let's just quickly and then I'll let you finish. But it's very clear you bring up that point because you need to be very aware. He is racist, but he's not the kind of racist that people are pinning him under. He's the kind of liberal, spoon-fed racist that you would find all white people. He isn't the kind of, I directly have an issue with black people and so forth. He is far more of an opportunist. Mm-hmm. And I am an active racist. No, I have a thing against black people and I think about how much I hate black people. Yeah, of course he'll say flippant things about black people, but people say, oh my gosh, he's such a racist, No, there are people who are actual racists. He's an opportunist and a shyster.
Yeah. Like that. I'm not trying. Trust me. I definitely think he's a racist, but I think he's more of an opportunist. He's more of a capitalist and opportunist than a racist. Case in point, and a true racist will not invest in Saudi Arabia. Donald Trump smells that money in Saudi Arabia, and he's like, I don't give a fuck what color these people are. They got money.
Yeah.
Green. So in that way, I think you can I think he's less dangerous as people think he is. He's only dangerous because he has his hand on the nuclear button, but otherwise he's way less dangerous than people think he is.
All right, Jay.
All righty. My thoughts on that. I'm not such a big political head. I just think that's something that he do to influence politics. Like we just was talking about the internet and things like that. I think his last campaign spent the most on internet ads and Facebook ads than any other campaign. So he knows it's getting close up to November, and he needs those black votes. So he's going to say things like that. And, opinions are easy to be persuaded and push out ads and stuff like that. That's just only a deploy to get more votes. To me, for a president to say something like that, we have to see social change with black people. Black people don't need to be getting stomped out by the fucking police for a white president to say that. And I got a question to ask, and I want you all to answer this. Is Trump more racist than any other white president that we had? Bush? Reagan? Is he really that different? He's just out there.
No way.
I'm just like, people like to say, oh, he was our first racist president. I'm like, I'm not too sure about that. Reaganomics.
Bush Senior.
Yeah, exactly. So is he really that more racist than any other president that was in the 40s, the 50s? Right?
Absolutely not, because like when you think about it, like especially when you think about actions too, like Nixon is like far more racist than Trump. And Trump to me reminds me of Nixon. Andrew Jackson, far more racist too. That dude had like a fucking harem full of black women he raped, being a piece of shit that he was.
What?
Yeah.
You need
Andrew
to learn about Andrew Jackson was a piece of shit, bro.
What? Wait. Yeah. No, wait. So he said he raped a bunch of black women, or did it what?
That was kind of standard for slave owners, Double H. So don't be so shocked.
Yeah. The raping happened a lot. There's books on that shit.
I think the first
Thomas Jefferson had a whole side family, bro. So let's keep it real.
Somebody fact check me. It wasn't the first 5 or 6 presidents had slaves, right? Something like that. The first 4 or 5.
I think everyone except John Adams. I don't think John Adams had slaves, but like Washington, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, Andrew Jackson, they were slave owners. So if slave ownership is like the, no pun intended, if it's the Trump card, then there are way more racist presidents than Trump, seeing as they owned actual black people. So
all right.
So, one thing I'm not done. I'm not done. I have one more point to say. But who's really calling Trump racist? Who really majorly have a problem with Trump? Black people, of course, we have problems with a lot of the presidents. But white liberal America hates him as well. They want him out. Always got to remember that. What's being pushed? I said this multiple times on here. What agenda is being pushed? Trump is not big on LGBTQ. He's not. He's saying grabbing pussy shit. So but white women still voted him. What, 52% or something like that? 62%. So when people say they dislike Trump, do you believe they go into the polls and not voting for Trump? That's what I have to say.
All right, MB.
Well, I don't think he's done the most for black people. It's shit talk. Like I said, we all, like Sam and I and a few other folks, we grew up watching this asshole talk. So it's like, it's par for the course, If he wants to talk about what he's done for black people, someone should say, you still haven't apologized to the Central Park Five, but hey, whatever.
He took out an ad. Man, to get them.
He took out a whole page of the fucking paper saying, kill these black kids for defiling that. They defiled the honor of that beautiful white woman. That's the kind of shit that they were on. So it's like, it is what it is. But no, I think I don't see him as being.
Meanwhile, she had 7 different kinds of DNA in her panties, probably.
No, that was the Kobe thing. That one. No, hey, bro, she did though. She had
I know.
It's just in her. But anyway, real talk. No, he hasn't done the most. No, he's not the most racist. There have been worse presidents. There have been worse policies. Trump is an opportunist. He will do what benefits him at the end of the day. It's not about. I don't think he would be cool with somebody marrying someone that looks like us marrying Ivanka, for example, if that would have happened. But at the same time, he's not exactly. His family's not doing the shit from. His family's not doing. Is not like lynching black folks. You know what I mean? It's political bullshit, all of it. He's probably going to lose. People should be more worried about whether.
Are you sure about that?
No, here's the thing.
Biden?
People should be more concerned with the fact that he's talking about pushing, that he floated the idea just to see if he has support for pushing back the election. People should like your blood should kind of like boil as a patriot hearing that shit. Right? But we're here talking about whether or not he's done more for the black community. How about we talk about the fact that he's trying to become a fucking king? Let's start there. No, just me.
Yeah, a dictator, man. All right, Danny.
What's the question? Like, what's the exact question?
Basically, so he said that he's done more. He's done more for black people more than every American president since Abraham Lincoln.
I don't want to go that far. I mean, I can think of like 3 off top. So no. So Grant, Kennedy, and Johnson. There you go. So he's full of shit. And other people gave good examples, maybe Eisenhower and others. So I don't think any president does what's in the best interest of black people. As Abraham Lincoln himself said, if he could have saved the Union without freeing the slaves, then he would have done it. So there's been no president that's really had the explicit best interest of black people at hand, not even Barack Obama. So looking for the president of the United States to be in the best interest of black people is like looking for a lion that's in the best interest of a gazelle. Like, that doesn't exist. So yeah, whatever the president of the United States says it goes in one ear out the other for me, generally speaking. So especially in relation to black people. So that's where I stand with Trump. He's just, as someone said, his mission right now is just like, well, I guess the Democratic Party seems a bit fractured. There's, the progressive element with the more centrist element. So I guess he's thinking, if I can get 2, 3, 4% of black people to vote for me, then maybe that will, solidify my place in a swing state like North Carolina or Florida or Michigan or someplace like that. So that's what he's up to. He's just trying to say, like, battle rapper. I don't know what he's just a president. He's going to say what he has to say in order to get reelected. He's just a politician. So.
Okay, so final thing before we sort of round off and get out of here. It's a simple question, man. We'll just go around. Who do you think wins the election? In my view, I believe I'm gonna say Biden. Even if I think Trump, and Biden won't win it, Trump will lose it. That's even if we have an election. But I think Biden will win not by being a great candidate. He will win by Trump just doing something that just basically fucks everything up. So Biden will win via Trump's brickery. That's what I think. Sam?
I think the same thing. And I think it's also because while there are a lot of people that are going to vote for Trump, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to vote for Biden just because he's not Trump.
Yep.
People don't realize the power of like just fucking hating somebody. Underestimate the power of fucking hating somebody.
That's how Trump won, because people really hated Clinton.
Exactly.
So Sam, you're saying Biden then?
Barely.
Okay, Corey.
Yeah, I think Biden's going to win the popular vote. Trump's going to win the election. I think like Dave Chappelle said, white people have a way of surprising you on election day. I think a lot of white people a lot of white liberals who are being called out now because of the George Floyd and the racial injustice and the Black Lives Matter movement. A lot of former white liberals who are being called out now for being racist, who didn't know they were racist, didn't think they were racist before, are going to be like, okay, well, fuck this whole liberal thing. I guess I'm a conservative now, or let me see what these conservatives got to say. I don't know, man. I think Trump is going to win the election. He's going to win the Electoral College. But Biden's going to probably win the popular vote. Democrats usually always win the popular vote. So I think that's how it's going to work.
Jay?
I think we only had one term president. That was Nixon, vice president, when he got impeached. So statistically speaking,
Bush won too. Bush, the first Bush was one term.
Carter as well. Jimmy Carter. Johnson was one term as well, but that was his own choice.
Oh yeah, but so statistically speaking, but I would say, I think Democrats always use the popular vote. I would say that too, but I think Trump will win based off this ideology. Man, there's a lot of white people mad at this Black Lives Matter stuff. What is the backlash? The backlash is pulling for Trump again. I'm telling you, man, if you live in a very liberal area, all day, you see white people marching, but man, there's a lot of rednecks, snagger-tooth, cousin fucking motherfuckers are just not going to vote for Biden just because Black Lives Matter movement. It's going to be a backlash, and the backlash is going to be Donald Trump win again.
MB?
I'm not seeing Biden beating Trump, but just because people are inherently fucking lazy and they're gonna just straight ticket vote Republican. I know so many people who are just like legitimately straight ticket voting Democrat and Republican. Or you have my favorite, the folks talking about voting third party and won't shut they're like the hard, like talking to your friends about who they're voting for is like the scene in Airplane when he's bombarded by solicitors and he ends up like having to do kung fu to get through. Like that's what social media has become. But I don't see Biden. I see Biden winning a popular vote, and I see Trump winning the electoral vote again. And he's going to do some weird shit where it's gonna come down to them blaming coronavirus for something going on with the economy, or something that he screws up is going to get blamed on the virus, and it's just going to end up being Biden. They're going to talk about Biden being a racist, and it's just the same old shit. Just like when they were saying, like, everybody black knew what they meant when Joe Biden was like, if you're not black, if you're not voting for me, you know, everyone knew what that was about. Everyone knew what he was saying, but people still pretended that he was a bigot or whatever have you. Come on. But nah, I don't see him beating Trump, but not because Trump is unbeatable. I think he's a shitty choice when it comes down to it.
Okay.
Hey, have hope. I'm sorry. One thing I forgot to mention. I forgot to mention the Republicans are gonna also fight dirty the way they always do. For example, they are closing polling stations in black counties. Some counties have hundreds of thousands of people and only 1 or 2 polling stations. Nobody ain't going to be waiting hours and hours and hours on a workday in line to vote. They're not closing polling stations in white counties. So these Republicans are going to fight dirty, which is what they always do. Trump is not smart enough to do that. I'm talking about the real hardcore political career Republicans are going to be doing that, and that's also another reason why he's going to win the electoral college.
All right,
sorry,
Danny, round us off.
Those are old Democratic Party tricks from like pre-1960, where they didn't want.
I'm sorry, they're conservative tricks. I'm not really concerned about political party names. The ideology is conservative. The conservatives do that.
Yeah, I agree. Who's gonna win? I think I suspect Biden wins, if only because the face of this person on the screen is not what the majority of white people want to represent the United States. Not saying that Biden is a great alternative, but the idiocy that Trump has, I think Trump is too representative of the American populace, I think, to continue being president, because I think Trump is the embodiment or the personification of what America is. It's loud and wrong with a bunch of power. That's what America is. So I think I think Trump hits a little bit too close to home, and I think there's going to be a lot of people who just wouldn't have voted for Clinton because I don't like her. She's evil. She's a woman. All those kinds of things. I think Biden is probably a lesser version of that. So I think I agree he'll win the popular vote, but it's going to be the states like Michigan and Florida. And I think Virginia's clear now of being a swing state. I'm pretty sure it's blue. But yeah, was that like that whole Rust Belt? Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, Florida. Florida's not.
Florida's not going to be blue, dog. Florida's not going to be blue. He passed laws, sanctions against Venezuela and Colombia. They're going to vote. I mean, in Venezuela, they're going to vote. A lot of Latino voters are going to vote red this year. So I don't know about that.
You think?
This is facts, man. I'm hearing from back home, man. So they had a bunch of Trump rallies. So he passed laws against, the socialist countries for them to get their votes. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are turning red, and I'm not too sure if Florida's it's a definite blue. It's gonna be
it's not. Florida's never a definite anything, bro. Florida's wild.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for coming along and so forth. Really happy to have you here on Tuesday, and hopefully let's do it again next Tuesday, same time, 7 p.m. and have more of these great discussions. This was a really good discussion, guys. So I'm thanking guys for everyone tuning in and so forth. We'll see you next Tuesday. Peace out. Bye, guys.